you guys we got new content. I just got a delivery of all our skits. We also did skits. So we have that coming to you as well. So you guys stay tuned. Follow everybody on the board. As you can see, our names are on the screen. Please follow on all our social media. You know, follows and subscriptions are currency. And we cannot do this without you. And we appreciate you. If you want to support the show, please, by all means, throw mama a Cash App right there. Cash App on the block with Jen. If you're catching a replay, I love getting a Cash App and I'm not on air. It's like a little surprise gift, and I appreciate you. You ain't got to give me your money. So when you do, I know you are feeling the show, and we appreciate you. Also, you can use the super chat feature. You already know how that works. It's right there. Okay. Chat, hold this down. Panel, go ahead. Go.
Fun fact about the music you just played, it almost became the official theme of the Brazilian Summer Games, but it fell through at the last minute.
Holy fuck. Wait, hold up. We got to play it again then. Because I can hear it. I could definitely, I can see that happen.
I was tasked to compose something. I had 2 days. And it was like 48 hours. You have to come up with something for the Brazilian games, and I immediately just came up with the rhythm, got a couple of my guys together, blah, 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 just told them to put the rhythm down, and I just handled the guitars after that, and we just sent it in. It almost made it. But
beautiful. Well, look at that. Now it's the intro for On the Block with Jen, bitch.
There you go.
Wait a minute. Go. Let's listen to it a little bit.
Composing this because I had a vision of a woman in a red dress when I was composing this, because when I think of Brazil, I think of beautiful women. So it's I wanted something sexy. I wanted something a little sexy.
No, it does. I can imagine. I can picture like a montage of things happening. You know what I mean? While the music plays. Great job.
Haran. I'm going to have to do a reel to that.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we should do. Duh. Yeah. That's what we should do. That is what we should do. Absolutely. Hello, No Saint. How are you, darling?
Hello. How are you tonight?
Really, really good. Fix your frame. It looks like you're driving like this, like old people.
Listen, I had to run up here and set up.
There you go. You go.
Oh, whoa. Oh.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah.
Am I still here?
I don't know. Yeah, no. Kind of. Yes and no.
Okay. Yeah. I just switched
There
off.
we go.
There you go. So how's my sound? How do I sound, guys?
Great.
I sound clear?
Yes, it's better in the upper register. I'm sorry. That's a... Yeah, it's...
I just said, do I sound clear? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Does it sound like I'm mic'd?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds like I'm... Okay.
Haran?
All right. What happens? Again, if it doesn't go on the arm, I'm going to have to change it.
What happened? Dex?
No. I'm wondering if I'm the only one here and that she's kind of, when it's over, maybe overmodulated a little bit and cracking once in a while, like
cracking?
Cutting out.
Am I cracking?
Let me hear it. Say something.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing.
Okay.
Testing.
That's fine right there.
Testing 1 2.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. Thank you, sound guy.
Might have been on my end. It might have been on my end.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Do we have any fluff tonight? Or anything that's happened in the news? It doesn't have to be long, drawn out, and detailed, but we could just speculate a little bit. Anything happened lately? you guys want to throw out there on this Saturday night before I get into? Do you hate your mother?
Oh,
I don't think there's
wow.
anything to get into. It's a Saturday night, which means both sexes are violating every single thing on that goddamn list because, you know, there's the internet and then there's real life.
Right.
The lists are fun, but
Oh yeah, Matthew Perry. Yes, we do have to shout out him.
All right, Matthew Perry died. They're speculating a heart attack, and he died in his hot tub in his jacuzzi.
Oh,
at least he was comfy. When Jen increases the volume of her voice, it does sound saturated. George says when Jen increases the volume of her voice, it does sound saturated. What does that mean, saturated?
The microphone is really great in the higher frequencies, so that's probably what they're hearing. If it's louder, they're probably hearing a piercing sound because it's great in the higher frequency area. I don't hear it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we covered Shaft the other day ish.
Yeah, we sure did cover Shaft. Of course we did. Absolutely. Testing. Okay, so all right. Hey guys, we're here.
You know, I got ready
So
5 minutes today.
Listen, I know we're going to get into today's topic, but I'm really hoping we get some of these guys that we called up last night. Again, that was kind of fun.
No, it wasn't fun for me.
It wasn't?
No.
No? You didn't like the show?
No. Oh. I edited out that whole shit. It was hot garbage. I don't like people like that. It wasn't fun for me. It wasn't fun for me at all. I don't like I love debating. I love people disagreeing with me. I love people having their own point of view and standing 10 toes down, but I loathe willful ignorance. I loathe into intellectual dishonesty. I loathe it when you know damn well what I am saying, and when you're selectively idiotic. When I'm giving you 2 examples of people that do the same exact thing, and you're so fucking biased that you can't pull your own dick out your ass and say, yeah, you know what? That's true. They're both pretty toxic on both ends. You're still holding on to your bias, and you're so biased that you can't be logical. And I don't like having those conversations because I don't enjoy them. I love a good debate. I love disagreeing. I mean, you see us do it up here all the time, but I loathe willful ignorance. I loathe intellectual dishonesty. He knew good and goddamn well what I was talking about, and pretending not to at his age is a little pathetic. And then doing the same thing, Mr. Research, I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong. Talking to a child, literally talking to a child. Like who does a debate like that? I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong. Like it's immature. So no, I didn't enjoy it. I don't enjoy those type of debates at all.
Well, I think probably because you were in the midst of it, but it's entertaining to sit back and watch you debate someone like that. It's entertaining to sit there and watch you. Maybe because you were fighting it and it wasn't fun for you, but just to watch you like slice and dice, I found it entertaining. But
as long as people are entertained, that is the point. That is why we're here. So absolutely, that's why we're here to entertain.
Here's the thing where you missed a wonderful opportunity to call KFC out on his bullshit, but you missed it.
Okay.
He told you to stay out of the situation because you're a non-black person.
Yeah.
Right?
Or he didn't want to talk to me about it. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I didn't want to talk mixed company.
Yeah. Mixed company. But here's the thing. They have no issue. They have no issue with you coming in with open arms and essentially giving them a pass when they want to run around here with the bullshit. When they would essentially want to be given a pass for their degeneracy. When you sit here and you make excuses for their bottom-feeding fucking behavior, they have no problem with a white face actually supporting them. See, this isn't about black faces actually supporting these
What just happened?
That's George. There's an echo with George. George, lower. Okay, go ahead.
This isn't about non-black spaces being non-black people being in these spaces. This is about non-black black people being in these spaces and not agreeing with this bullshit. Okay, now if you are, because guess what, Pearly Things made a mint off of being in these spaces and agreeing with half of this dumb shit, and basically giving half of these morons a pass, and they gave her over 1 million fucking subs. So trust me, if she was sitting here basically excusing all this fucking nonsense, standing 10 toes down for the black man, they'd love this shit. Okay, they'd love this shit. As a matter of fact, Kev C asked me on the comment section why I wasn't on the side of black men, and I said no. I'm not going to be on the side of a set of people who tell me to go back to fucking Jamaica when I actually, am critiquing them practically. Okay, I'm nobody's mule. I'm nobody's fucking attack dog. I'm not black when it's convenient for you. If you want to sit out here and exclude me out of these situations, when I call you out on your bullshit, fine. But don't come looking for me when the little 5'3" fucking Puerto Rican smacks you over the head with a fucking bag of fucking rice. Don't come to me, bro.
That's right.
You ain't say that. No. I'm not black. Remember. I'm not black when it's convenient for you, bro.
Jen's not black, which I thought that was really pretty interesting. I was going to come online and do my whole 0.8% asking what is a black person, but I was like, nah, y'all are holding your own. Yeah, no saint. Now here's my thing about the whole thing. To an extent, I can understand a little bit what he means about white people commenting on things that go on in the African American community. But the problem is with that is the whole thing about when you say it's institutionalized. Well, who set the institutionalized stuff up? White people.
Yeah, I listen.
So it's like, I mean, no saint, you could have had the cure for cancer right there. He could have been dying of cancer. You could have had the cure for cancer, but that dude would not listen to you because you're white. He'd rather die and rot from cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that entrenched in this mindset of like, it comes out of the Nation of Islam stuff, where, which part of it I can kind of understand what they're saying.
Well, it's just in the chat. I told him to come up. Speaking of the Nation of Islam, if he wants to come up, he can come up. But George, I disagree with you.
Me too.
I think that men like that are extremely full of shit and they talk a good one. But I guarantee if No Saint had the cure for cancer, he'd bend over so he can hurt the cure in his ass.
Well, you're right, because Louis Farrakhan got cancer and he went to a Jewish oncologist who cured him, who helped put it in remission. Mm-hmm. I do remember that, so you're probably right.
Yeah. Do you have something on in your background, George? Do you have another window? Because every time I talk,
Okay. Well, let me drop out because I've got a new computer and everything, so my setup could be off. So anyway, also I look extra pink today too. But anyway,
are you coming back up? You just gonna leave and come back?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right.
You kind of look like the left side to say.
Yeah. Porky pink.
Anyway, I will say this. I meant to say it last night. White liberalism enables black mediocrity. And that's a fact.
Listen, the thing I was trying to get at him, because I saw his picture. That doesn't mean he's from the Nation of Islam, but I did see his Malcolm X picture, and that's fine. And so I wanted to know if he was a black separatist, because I wanted to know where he's coming from. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we tell people these days, or anybody, that they can't have an opinion. Now, their opinion might be skewed to whatever walk of life they're in. And it's not a bad thing to listen to people's opinions and then put your input from your point of view and maybe change somebody's opinion. But to sit there and say you can't have an opinion, about what's going on, who knows? Maybe the person's opinion might enlighten something, in that person. Say, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So I was really just interested in where his point of view was coming from.
I've heard it a million times. Go ahead, Keith. How are you, Keith?
I want to say, y'all need to quit stalking me because I put on YouTube again on my TV, and boop, y'all popped up. New York pops up on my TV again. Y'all need to stop this, okay? I need to stop it.
We nowhere. We everywhere and nowhere.
I see, but I just want to say I'm glad to see some of us, or actually all of us that were on before. I'm glad to be. We just took my OG and my granny. We just took everybody out for a birthday and wine and dine at a nice fine restaurant. But
congrats.
Yeah, it's always a good thing. But I want to make a comment about what my man said. He said everybody's entitled to an opinion, or everybody should have an opinion and shouldn't. Well, I think that's the very problem with social media, right? It gave people who don't have an opinion that we don't need to fucking hear. Excuse my language. We don't need to hear it all. Now they have a voice, and not just that, but they have a powerful voice. Going back, kind of piggybacking what you said last night about having that social media influence and power. So we're seeing that a lot. We're seeing people who normally are cowardly or normally can't formulate a good opinion, but they're getting droves and droves of people to have it. But I do agree with the sense of we shouldn't hate each other for having our own individual opinions. We should be able to hear an opinion and say whether we like it or not, we respect it or not, and move on without thinking that person's our enemy. And can you expound on what you was talking about white liberalism contributes or propagates black mediocrity?
And before you get into that, I just want to say, as far as because I'm one of those people, I agree. I don't think everyone needs a microphone. I don't think everyone.
Hell no.
However, I will say this: it is disingenuous when you join a panel and you think you are going to police who can say what. Get the fuck off the panel. But don't.
I definitely agree with that too. Don't
get on a panel and say that guy can't talk and that woman can't talk when you got on the panel. You can exit and then go in whatever space you think exists for you in your conversation. So I thought him saying that yesterday, it was disingenuous. Like, get the fuck on then and go talk where you feel comfortable. But on this panel, what's so famous about the block is that we're all from different walks of life, and we all let each other speak, even when we don't agree. We don't have to though. See, right. we don't have to.
I thought that's what was. Are you talking about Kev C or something yesterday?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was a little. But you know what? I gotta be honest. People like him kind of are funny to me because, my grandma, she's from the South. She grew up on a plantation, and she used to have these crazy sayings like, "You don't believe fat meat grieves you," which, if you really think about it, there's a lot of common sense in it. But I'm pretty sure y'all all have heard the term "There's more than one way to skin a cat." I just think that brother has never encountered somebody that skinned that cat a different way in front of him, But what I do like about him is that he seems to be very fact driven, and that was able to pop off Haran, is it Haran DeMarco?
Mm-hmm.
Haran, bro, I love hearing you. I wanted to get you so bad yesterday. I said, well, I'm gonna get this New Yorker so bad. I don't get him so bad. But that's not in a bad way, in a good way, man. I enjoyed listening to you yesterday. Jen, I enjoyed listening to you too. And you need people like that to excite you. But I completely agree. You have to show respect to your fellow panelists. You have to show respect to people. You can't tell them, hey, you better this, you better that. You can't do that.
You can't hijack. I would never go on someone's panel and tell them, oh, I'm not going to talk in front of that woman or that guy. I don't have to be there. It's just that simple for me. I don't have to be there. So
this is voluntary. Yes.
I thought that was silly, but
and on top of that, like, we're on a platform. Hello, Keith. How are you?
You looking good as usual.
Well, thank you. On top of that, we're on a situation where it's not even ours. We don't own this shit. Like,
Right.
this is owned by the white man, some white folks. They done got together, put their money together, and then, we create channels within their
America.
space. Right. So it's like, dude, just have the damn conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thought it was really funny. Like, what does he think? Like, the white people that are on here are gonna somehow thwart whatever plan he's got for the Black community. I mean, if you really want to talk amongst, people, the family business, and you go to the Nation of Islam, then it'll just be some Black people that are gonna rat you out. You don't have to worry about.
Oh, it's both. Bro, you didn't blow the belt tonight.
Oh,
And you know where I'm from. I'm in Chicago. This is Farrakhan. Everybody here. I'm gonna tell Farrakhan on you, bro.
Earth calling ish, commun-ish. Earth calling ish, commun-ish.
No, but seriously, you know what? This is what I'm saying. I'm gonna play devil's advocate really quickly here. Somebody that's that staunch, we tend to forget because we are American. We tend to forget, which I think is beautiful. I think America is beautiful. I think the fact that we are here in America and look at all the different shades and different cultures and ethnicities we represent, that's the beauty about the fabric of this nation, right? But there's a lot of ugly things that come through it because you have people who think they know more or have more, or, it's always that struggle. But to play devil's advocate, not that long ago, we had COINTELPRO, that was propagated by, enforced and funded by the U.S. Government, the FBI, with J. Edgar Hoover at the front. And then you had, if you look at Jim Crow South, you had the Alabama Investigative Bureau. You had all these different Georgia State Investigative Bureau that have that. You go even back to that, you have the Tuskegee experiments with syphilis. So it's almost like in our DNA, as Black Americans, to be like, hey man, I don't trust whitey or the government. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I can honestly say too, my great grandma, she was like that, right? But I joined the U.S. military. I was in there for a long time until I couldn't, I couldn't serve anymore. So like I said, it's what we choose. It's what we choose.
Yeah, and I want to say a lot of those things, COINTELPRO, a lot of them were successful because Black people were helping. That's the part that people leave out, because Black people helped to infiltrate, because Black people were getting paid to take information back. That's the part that people always leave out when they bring up the CIA and
no,
the
FBI. It's not. No.
They forget the players that were within the organizations.
No, you're right. You're right in the sense that there are rats around, okay? And there's always going to be rats around regardless of the culture. But the fact is that those institutions formulated a plan, and it was backed by an institution to keep and hold down a movement which would free a small population of the United States population. Citizens.
But the point that's being made here,
it doesn't matter whether it was a rat or not. It doesn't matter who's getting paid.
Listen.
The fact that it was
It matters.
The point that's being made here is that our involvement in the situation was the linchpin to get the shit popping. For instance, there's this bullshit, perception that white people, on a hot summer day, in Alabama, they decided to go get some boats and go down to Africa and just go tie up some niggas and throw them in the back and be back for Thanksgiving dinner. No, this thing was planned out. There were involvements from people that looked like us to ensure that people that looked like us were sold into these situations. They didn't think that at no point in time was there any kind of forethought. So when we have these discussions about how the decimation of our people, these moments in history where there were huge decimations of our people, we can think back and we can trace that we had some type of involvement in the exploitation of our people. Up to this day, we constantly keep having a hand in the exploitation of our people. And that is one of my biggest issues. And that's
Yeah,
one
but
of the
you're
things that
talking about something that's human nature. You look at Napoleon, you look at the French Revolution, and how
we're talking
democracy
about
was even
black people.
created,
See, this is
and
the
the
problem
removal.
here.
No,
Talk about our
listen,
people.
brother.
When we talk about our
I'm
people,
no.
then we want
I'm
to start
making
talking about
I'm
other
making
stuff.
no.
Hey, go ahead and make
I'm
the
making
point. Go ahead and make
I'm making a foundational statement that it's human nature, where if there's somebody that is opposite of your belief and they want something to happen, there's always going to be somebody who's not strong enough to stand out, but is willing on the opposite side to collude with you to get that goal accomplished. We have seen it all throughout history, all cultures, and all ethnicities. So
So
for us
with
to
that,
say, that, but I'm telling you, I have people who escaped Jim Crow South to keep from being lynched. You understand what I'm saying? I will tell you, I've lived in Florida and been threatened to be lynched on a college campus. And at the same time, I had my uniform stolen and thrown away and almost burnt and told I was a baby killer. So you have to forgive me if I get what you're saying. We got to take responsibility about certain things. And you're right, we do. But at the same time,
I'll say this: the but is the problem. The but is the
ain't no
problem.
but.
No, you
you
just
just
said
said,
but. I didn't say but. You said but. So what do you mean?
No,
There's no.
I said
You said
I say ain't no but is the problem, is what I was trying to say.
okay. So
It's not a problem.
the
It's
but
always
the
there's
but is
multiple
the problem.
sides.
When you put the flashlight on black people helped in the destruction of black people, the violins come out. Oh, but that's human nature. Well, then maybe it's human nature for white people to go around lynching people because they suffer from severe tribalism and they don't want black people around. So they try to destroy the entire race. Then maybe that's human nature. Maybe it's not racism. Maybe it's tribalism. Maybe when people are in power, they're not going to relinquish that power by any means necessary. Maybe that's human nature. Because where does human nature stop? Only when black people are doing ill will? Is that when
Jen,
human nature?
don't lump me into KFC's.
Hold on.
I'm right, you wrong.
I'm gonna mute your mic because if I'm not gonna yell tonight. That's what I'm not gonna do. Not gonna yell tonight. It's Saturday. We all chilling.
With all due respect,
let me finish my point. When white people do a thing, oh my God, and oh my God, and then they're conspiring, blah blah, and look at them, they're all the bread, the boot on my neck, right? When black people help them, well, it's human nature. There's always going to be a turncoat or a traitor somewhere. It's just human nature. That's what happens. People just want, some people just want to be down, And again, this is what I was saying yesterday. Black people are not morally superior. Black people, and I will say it again, Black people are not morally superior to the white man. That is why I said yesterday, when Black people are in power, any type of power, whether it's media, music, entertainment, government, what do they use? They use Black people the same way white people use Black people. See, human nature. Human nature is not race specific. And that is my point. When we bring up Black people do, oh no, it's human nature. It's because they all live in the ghettos. They force us to be in the ghettos. And we don't have no books. And look at our schools. And that's why we're doing it, because we got to do it. That's all I'm talking about. Like, that's really all I'm talking about. If you're going to say human nature, then you got to include all humans in human nature. Right. That's my point.
I did. Cool. What? First, let me say two things. I got to hear you respectfully. I understand this is your panel, but also being the head of the panelists, there's a way we respect. And I'm not going to yell tonight. No, I wasn't trying to talk over you. Okay? Let's keep it respectful. And I will leave if you want me to. I have no problem doing it. But let's keep it respectful, because I'm not a child and I'm a grown man. So let's keep it respectful on both ends.
Okay, good night, sir. I'm not doing this tonight. So anyway, back to the topic. Tonight's topic is, do you hate your mother? And yes, I was a little melodramatic, so I used this on the thumbnail. You guys saw what I did. I used Norman on the thumbnail.
Oh, there's a lot of those relationships going on.
I used Norman on the thumbnail. Yes, I was being dramatic. We talk a lot about, when we get into these verbal fisticuffs, and when we think about the red pill and the manosphere, what we say, he must hate his mother, but there's a correlation when men don't like their mother, or they had a bad relationship growing up with their mother, right? It manifests in their adult relationships. So I'll give you a quick story. I was with someone many years who hated his mother. I mean, hated his mother. And he would tell me stories about her. And then I met his stepfather, and he would tell me stories about her. So, they say you break a child around about 5 or 6, boys specifically. You can create a narcissist around 5 or 6 years old. That's where you break a boy, around 5 or 6 years old, right? If they have narcissistic parents or they suffer abuse, around about 5 or 6, you break them, they're ruined for life, literally. Very rarely can a male child survive that. Then they grow up and they're, dysfunctional. They don't trust. They cheat a lot. They don't trust women. They can't have a functioning relationship. You break them. You break a kid. That's why you have to be very, 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 very careful with children, but specifically little boys. A lot of little girls are watched over very much. And the little boys are kind of like, you punch them in the chest and say, man up and go out there and get at life. But no, they're still children. They're still children. So in my relationship, he let me know that, he didn't like his mother. And then when I met his stepfather, sometimes I think, are you embellishing? Was your mother that bad? Right. But I met his stepfather, and his stepfather said, no, Jen, she didn't want to touch her sons till around age 7 or 8. And I said, what do you mean she didn't want to touch her sons till 7 or 8? Who does that? She didn't want to touch her sons till 7 or 8. So he said that he used to pretend. He used to set up a tent in the backyard, and he used to pretend that he was taking them camping, because she would wake up and be like, I don't want to see them. I don't want them in my house. I don't want to see them. She had 2 boys. And I was like, what the fuck? Why? And then he said, because she was a singer, had a hit song, by the way, in the 80s. She was a singer, and she felt like her boys were stopping her from her life's dream, her goal to travel the world and sing. So every time she saw them, it was a reminder of her not reaching her goal. So she didn't start hugging them and touching them to 7 or 8. Hence, I ended up in a relationship from hell, because this man could not function as an adult in a relationship. That's why I'm asking the question tonight. Do you hate your mother? I do have an article that has some interesting points, but I'll pass the mic on that. What do you think?
Hey, Jen, if you don't mind, I can, not to the point where my situation was hating my mother, but I was estranged from my mother for about 10 years, and it had to do with when my parents divorced back in 1979. And what happened, make a long story short, I go to live with her and my sister. She's handling the divorce in her adult way. My sister is 16 years old and goes her own way, and I'm 12 years old and I can't do shit but just take it, right? So along comes my dad, who says, hey, I can give you a better life. Long story short, right? And so I go live with him, and in the process, it caused a huge rift between she and I, and with the help of my father. I mean, he's fueling this on. What I can tell you from the impact of having a bad relationship with your mother is that most boys, from what I can tell, that it's like when they get to almost like the age of puberty, they need their mother in their life, because it's how they make the connection to men's, kind of like making the connection of their value to women, or it's a very complex thing they come across. I'm not saying it's true in all cases like that, but from the research that I've read, that there is a very powerful component where the mother's role, especially very early on, and then right about puberty, where there's that transition, and it affects how they work with the opposite sex. I'd be sitting here lying to you if I told you that I didn't have trouble with women, not so much in terms of like anything violent, but it's like relating to them, having game. I had no game, and I still have some game. Okay. But you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this whole, if you don't feel good about yourself, right? You don't think that, well, my mom doesn't talk to me, so I must be a piece of shit. Why would the Jen Garcias or Lilies or whoever, right, would want me? That's the line of thinking that I had. But so it's it's a very, unfortunately, that what you talked about with the guy that you dated, I've heard that from more than one dude. It's just really bad. It's in that there are women out there like that. It's like, especially if the kid comes along unexpected, and it kind of like throws a wrench in their plans, like you just laid out. There's resentment there, and when you're a little, you talk about this about kids picking up in the environment. When you're a toddler, you can pick up on that energy, whether you're wanted or loved or not. And so, yeah, this kind of goes back to our whole thing. There's a bunch of men in this country that probably need to get that shit sorted out. But that's just my take on it. Hopefully, I'm sounding a whole lot better.
No, you are. Oh, bueno, yeah, just Lily, go ahead.
Yeah, this topic is really a good one that we're having, because there are a lot of men are suffering with this, and we are seeing the results of that today, right? With the rise of the manosphere and the red pill stuff. But I was even watching Iyanla, and she was talking about studies that infants pick up on that in the womb as well when they weren't wanted, because there was a lot of episodes where that came out. Like, after she digged and prodded, she was able to get out of the mother. I never wanted her. I never wanted him, right? And then that child was like, that actually was part of the healing, because it was like, I knew it. I felt it. Like, I'm glad you're finally fucking saying it, and I'm not crazy. Now we have a place we can start to heal from, right? Which is, that's just how it is. Sometimes you got to just rip the Band-Aid off, right? Because you can heal the truth, you can't heal the lie. But I'll take it another step further. See, there's two unhealthy extremes. You got that extreme of the hating the mother, and then you got the Norman Bates type of relationship with the mother as well. I don't like, those guys are just as bad, because they can't do anything without mama being involved. Her nose, her nails, her teeth, her words are going to be all in your relationship, right? So it's like trying to find that happy medium. I dare to say, this is just my opinion, I feel like it's you have a better chance of healing the person who probably hates his mom quicker than a mama's boy, right? I'm gonna say why. This is why I got that opinion. A mama's boy is always still getting what he wants from her. There's no incentive. There's really no incentive, because the biggest consequence maybe for him is that he can't keep a steady relationship, but he don't care because he always got the relationship with mama, right? So, but with the guy who hates mom, he can't keep a steady relationship, and he doesn't have the relationship with mama, so he'll be more in tune with getting something done about the problem, right? Because once there is hope for those that get that healed, right? To heal that situation somehow, some way. Because until that's healed, no, I don't believe you can have a healthy relationship. I don't believe those men can receive love. It can be the best partner that's dropped from the sky. And if he hasn't healed or found peace in that situation with his mother, I don't think he can receive your love. That's just my opinion.
So I want to say something to what you said, because I think a lot of people are in pain about not being wanted as an infant. And I would love for people to let that go, because sex makes babies. I said it before. People love sex. They want sex. They have sex. They don't necessarily, it's almost like the symptom of having sex is having a child. Most people don't want the responsibility of children. And I say those things and people cringe and they're in denial. And no, how could you say that? I love my children. I didn't say you didn't love your children. I said you more than likely just wanted to fuck, right? It's very rare that two people come together and say, let's have a child. This is what I want to do. More than likely, the majority of people having sex just want to feel good. They just want orgasms, right? But orgasms make babies. But I would like people to just let let that go, because at the end of the day, I know you're born with two parents and you're like, oh, you're supposed to love me. You're the first woman I'm ever going to deal with. You're supposed to love me like no other. And dad, you're the first man I'm ever going to deal with. And you're supposed to love me like no other. But these people are just people trying to figure it out just like everybody else. And I think there's a misconception that as soon as someone has a child, they turn into this perfect human being and they have to do everything right. And now you're raising another human being. No, more than likely that person is also going through, ups and downs in life, or money issues, or their own emotional, PTSD. And now there's a whole child involved. Because it does sound hurtful. Like, oh, I didn't even want you. Look, we were just having sex and then you came here. And I think I would love for people to take the charge out of that, right? Because sex makes babies, and it doesn't mean that you can't be loved and wanted very much elsewhere and by someone else, or in life, or find fulfillment doing other things, helping people, big broing or big sistering children, or feeding homeless, or nonprofit work. There's so many other ways that you could find that connection with human beings, because a lot of times you're not going to get it from your parents, and you must get your own closure. But a lot of people live with that. I wasn't even wanted. Like, you gotta let that go, because that's the majority of people. They just want to have sex.
Jen, you hit the nail on the head about that, and that's where I had to come to. It's like there's just certain things, like with my mother, to this day, she will like half-ass acknowledge certain parts, like, hey, I did this, could have done better, but chooses to leave other stuff out. And I was like, I had to make a decision. Do you want a relationship with your mother or not? Do you want one or not? And so I obviously made the decision I did, and I had to forgive and let it go. And I'm not saying it's easy, but you're right, because like y'all talked about in other areas with like men, and Haran and you yourself basically say, look, life's unfair. You get dealt a bad hand. You got to deal with it, and you got to move through it. And so and that's the other thing that I realized. This world doesn't give a shit what happened to me. That world still keeps on clicking. And so I've got to, it's kind of like, sooner I just get or work through it, fight through it, the better off I'll be. And fortunately, the past 30 years or so, it's been a good process. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting topic, because there were things that I could have asked my mom about. Mom was a very good-looking woman. That's another thing. Women who are very, very attractive, models, stuff like that, and they have a kid. A lot of them don't want to have kids because it's going to ruin their figure. I shouldn't say a lot, but some. Okay, but things like that come up. But Lily, let me throw this question out and kind of maybe take it in a slightly different direction, if I can. Is there any truth to the old adage about boys who become gay or go gay, that they had a bad relationship with their mother? Or is there any truth to that from what you know?
No, I haven't seen. Hold on, put it on mute real quick, George. I haven't seen that. The only thing that I do see that affects children sexually is when they're introduced to sex prematurely. They touch, they're shown sexual images and things like that. That is when they are left either sexually confused or hypersexual or asexual. Those are usually what I see. But other than that, not so much. And let me also be clear that every person that is gay or trans was not touched or introduced to sex, because that's another misconception that everybody likes to go to, because that is not my experience whatsoever. As a matter of fact, my mother would have burnt down the block if she just even suspected somebody touched my brother and I. So and she was super overprotective in that situation. So yeah, but I have seen it so many times with people, and that's not just people who are queer, people who are hypersexual or asexual as well. Yeah. It was something else I wanted to bring from what George said too. Oh, about what Jen said, for me, I would never say I hated my mother. I can't even say I disliked my mother, but I did have mommy issues, right? Mommy and daddy issues, right? And yeah, you cannot expect no ownership from your parents. You sit there and try to extract ownership from your parents, you be ready to throw them down the stairs. Don't do that. I always tell people, do not go seeking for ownership from your parents. That will hurt you more than the original offense would, right? And it can really make you like literally snap. So don't do that. What you did is what I had to do, and what Jen said is what I had to do. It's just look at my parents as two humans that fucked and had a child, and they were young, ill-equipped, no book, no training. They didn't go to no school for this shit. They just had a kid and was like, well, okay, what do we do now? Right? So when I looked at it from that standpoint and also looked at myself at that age, I probably would have ruined my kid way worse than the stuff that they did to me, because they didn't do anything intentional, right? But man, I would have ruined my kid's life if I at that age had a child, because I was way worse off than they were, you know. So when you learn to look at it like that from a state of compassion, see what I've learned about um forgiveness in certain aspects is what it does. It doesn't let the other person off the hook. It's actually letting you off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to what you were saying, Jen. It's like, just when you're going to let go of that and let yourself off the hook, because it was just two adults that got together. They were young, they wanted to fuck, and you came and they're like, oh, damn,
I have to keep this thing alive, is basically
right.
how they're looking at it. That's how they look, like, oh shit, like this thing is here and I got to keep it alive. So I wanted to address a little bit, because it's so important what you said, Lily. Like, we as children, until we get older and know better, we look for that closure, we look for that explanation. I did the same thing. I went back and tried to have that. I was like, oh, I'm mature now and I could communicate. This is going to be great. I'm going to go talk to mom and she's going to explain everything that went wrong, and we're going to sail off to the sunset and have tea. And no, you cannot underestimate what your parents use, right, to cope. That is denial. That is omitting. Okay, that's acting like that never happened. I wasn't there. You were there. She was there. Remember, it was 3 o'clock. It was raining out. The Brady Bunch was on TV. Had the Fruit Loops, and then the thing came flying in. And your mother be like, well, maybe something did happen, but I don't remember it the way you're saying it. And we remember everything because children are we're audio and videotapes, right? We're audio, we're like, we're sponges, we're little sponges. And I had to give up. I had to be, the bigger person, because I think every generation gets better and better and better, thankfully. And we have to do it on our own. Unfortunately, sometimes there's nobody there to hug us and burp us and be like, it's going to be okay. We have to do it on our own. And I just my mother was like, it was too much for her. I could tell she was like unraveling. And I was like, you know what, Mom? I said, you did the best you could. Like, don't even, I was like, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. I got it. Like, it's like, I was like, don't worry about it. Like, we're good. We're good. You did the best with what you could. I understand. Maybe you could have been in a better situation and you weren't. And and that's it. But when you leave, it's horrible. It's terrible. There's no closure. You feel like, who am I? Who can I go to? Who's going to give me this type of understanding that should have loved me? And it's like you said, George, it is fucking hard. It is not easy. You got to walk out like with the person that was supposed to give you, that consolation, that love. And it's like, I can't, because this person is broken beyond anything that I am. Like, if you talk to my mom, she'll still bring up stuff that happened when she was 5. Oh, I remember when I was 5 years old and such slapped me. I'm like, you were 5. But I was like, so if she's still there mentally, there's no way on earth she can help me with something that happened to me 30, 40 years later after that. So I was like, you have to pick your battles, and peace is best, especially with older people. So I was like, you know what, Mom, it's all good. You did the best.
Earlier we made a joke and said that particularly with men, if they have issues with their moms, they become serial killers. And if they have issues with their dads, they usually become the CEO of a fucking company. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? It's like either way, it's like, I'll show you. It's just a different way of showing, you know. But from my perspective, I mean, I don't like either of my parents. I mean, you know, I never really did. I mean, my mother's not a bad person.
Are you an only child?
Yes, I am.
You're only child, right? Okay. Oh wow. So you had to endure that without support.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
yeah, at least I have my brother.
You know, I mean, my dad was gone or whatever. You know, we didn't have a great relationship. My mother, she was very loving, but she was just very smothering after a while. I was just like, ugh. You know what I mean? You know, you know, and I just didn't particularly like either of them. However, pragmatically, looking at it from a bigger lens, it was the 80s. She was a single mother. She was an immigrant woman. On paper, we should have died long ago. But, you know, I mean, through her work and her own sacrifices, we were able to thrive, and I tip my hat off to her for that. You know what I mean? None of us, nobody in here right now knows their parents. You just know the person that is your parent. You don't know that person, because that person was somebody before they were your parent. And there's plenty of times in life where people find out things about their parents, like, oh, no, that couldn't have been my dad. No, wait, like, no, not my mom. Like, no, your mom too. Because guess what? At the end of the day, maybe the version of your mom that you know came to the forefront because you showed up. She could have been an entirely different fucking person on an entirely different fucking path. You know, and people need to take their parents from here and just put them down here, man. Yeah. That's the problem with people, man. You know what I mean? You got to appear up here. I'm like, nobody can sit here, man. And that's how you get anxiety issues. You got all kinds of fucking, you know what I mean? You know, syndromes. You know what I mean? I don't know who the hell is that. You know what I mean? Imposter syndrome, all kinds of things, because people have these issues with their parents. When you just got to look at them as people, man. I just look at my mother as a person. And what I see with a lot of these, if you listen to a lot of these red pill guys, what are the main things they often harp on? Well, your mom told you she wanted, you know what I mean, she wanted this kind of guy. So she turned you into this kind of guy to go out there and get, you know what I mean, railed out by these women. It's like they're saying they're blaming their mother for setting them up. Like your mom sabotaged you, or, you know, and ironically, it's like they on one end they're like, oh, your mom sabotaged you, but you're supposed to go out there into the world and find a woman who loves you unconditionally, basically, you know, supports you through thick and thin, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Essentially, your surrogate mother, not another human being, but your surrogate mother. So it's a very strange thing when you sit down and just look at all of this pragmatically.
Yeah. So this in this article, it says adult children of controlling mothers, how does this relationship affect their lives? Often the adult sons of controlling mothers live in a sphere of silence and continual contradictions. This is due above all to our culture, also in our code of masculine behavior, for which a man is obliged to keep his emotions in order to appear strong. This is so as not to be perceived as a girl. He disguises the pain and reacts in the only way men are allowed to react. Thus, in a world where man is still being equated with the ideas of freedom or independence, it is not easy to accept the demands of a controlling, narcissistic, and manipulative mother. It could be said here that these adult sons of controlling mothers share with their daughters the same problem. After all, they are raised and are living with the same person, having experienced the classic glare of selfishness, dissatisfaction, and the need for control from their mother. However, this may not always be the case. There are always individual differences. It is clear that these have more to do with one's personality than with gender. However, there is a pattern that is consistent with the experience of an adult man than that of an adult woman. And here, the recurrent use of lies and denial. The child who has grown up under the influence of a narcissistic mother has not had the time to build his own authentic and strong identity. In this way, a very recurrent survival mechanism of these men is the use of lies. At first, he will do it so as not to disappoint his mother to avoid guilt. But by making use of this behavior as a child, he will apply it in adulthood and in his relationships. So I guess he'd be like saying, yeah, I'm gonna do that because I don't want to. And a lot of men, you notice a lot of men, what do? I'm just gonna do it because I don't want to hear her mouth. They say that a lot about their wives.
Right.
I don't want to hear her mouth, so I'm just gonna fucking do it.
Right.
So
That's it. Like
when are men allowed to be men?
Mm-hmm.
But you know
When
what?
are men allowed to be men?
Look, man. At the end of the day, let's just call it what it is. A lot of mothers are not going to admit to a lot of the wrongs that they've made throughout the lives of their children, because being perceived as a horrible mother, that's death to a woman. And even society looks at a fucking woman sideways if you're a shit parent. Like, guys, let's just call it what it is. We have the luxury of being a shit fucking parent. We do. It just is what it is. The double standard. You know what I mean? Saying your dad sucks or the kid or the dad doesn't get the kids and the custody battle, so on and so forth. Nobody looks crazy at the fucking father, but if the mother loses her kids, if the kids say some wayward shit about the mother, that woman is seen like a piece of shit.
You are dead right on that, Ron.
So very well, your mom could have actually, had you fucked up out here in the world. But 9 times out of 10, she's not going to admit it.
Mm-hmm. Never.
Not going to hold herself accountable.
It says strong emotional restraint. Emotions influence the adult children of controlling mothers by suppressing the emotional needs of the child almost from the very start to place the mother's own emotional needs as a priority. That child believes early on that showing feelings is not only disgraceful, but also threatening to women. Therefore, the adult son who still lives under the influence of a controlling mother will continue to show a strong emotional restraint, which in many cases can lead to different psychological disorders like hostility. A controlling mother always creates insecure attachment. In a relationship where the male child has not been validated emotionally, very often he can show aggressive or hostile behavior. This is a characteristic that usually distinguishes them from the female children of controlling mothers. This means that the adult son who has grown up in this environment can show over-exaggerated reactions to certain situations. He may lose control and may react with anger. His ability to handle emotions is usually absent or very deficient.
Look, listen, man, there's a reason why when a child is born, the nurse gives it to the mother to hold the bond with. Nobody says, hey, where's the dad? Like, hey, where's the dad? Like, nobody gives it to the fucking
now. They do it now.
Well, I'm sure, because they do a lot of things now that they really shouldn't be. But the point of the matter is that, you know, in the animal kingdom too, the pup is with the mom and the father is standing, you know what I mean, standing firm, looking around, making sure that they're protected. You know, in nature, you see these things. If a child does not bond with the mother for immediately and for years, I can't know. There has to be some degree of psychological rewiring that happens in the brain. There has to be. There has to be some sort of in the brain that happens.
Which is something I'm seeing pop up now with all the surrogacies popping up. I'm hearing people being honest and saying, I'm not bonding with this child, whether it's the mother or the father.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. A couple of things out of this that I want to throw some things out there. So all 3 of my kids when they were born, and I was most surprised with my firstborn because it was my first, it was a son. I was going to have a son. I was really surprised because it took me a while before I bonded. And I was expecting it to happen immediately. And don't get me wrong. I looked at, he's cute. I remember Erica saying, "What do you think?" Like 2 months in, I'm like, he just kind of sits there. He doesn't do anything. I was having, and I started questioning myself, like, man, is something wrong with me because I'm not feeling this closeness. It came later on, but it came with when I started seeing personality, and it wasn't just a baby sleeping, waking up, eating, sleeping for the most part, So I think that with a woman, it's different because I think a woman carries a child, and there's a bigger connection there from the start because it's inside of her. But I found that interesting. Another thing is, I didn't realize at the time, and I've talked to Erica about this a lot when we were, especially the first, I don't know how many years it was, 3, 4, 5 years, she would wake up crying, and it would repeatedly happen. I don't know if it was once, twice a week, same dream over and over again. And it was about her mother. She had PTSD, and I didn't realize it because I'm thinking PTSD that has to do with like going to war, but her relationship with her mom was so bad. And so many hurtful things had happened that she relived it and had PTSD. And for someone who grew up with parents, decent parents, that, it's bizarre to me to hear like what Jen said about the singer that was pissed off and wouldn't touch their kids to 5 or 7 years old or whatever. That is just so cruel. It is so mean. I could not befriend anyone that would have that if I knew they had that kind of outlook on things, because yes, having kids is going to derail a lot of things in life, but you had the kids. So your responsibility, and you don't take it out on them. So it really, that's horrible. But I hear stories. We talked about it the other night with Kemper. His mom, the night he killed her, she said, I guess you want to stay up and talk all night again, right? And he was probably like 20 years old. And she had blamed him for her not having sex for I don't know how many years, right? So he beheaded her that night and then had sex with her and said, there you go. Crazy serial killer, very extreme, but it makes me think, wow, man, I don't think that there are people out there that are very that don't understand, like what you were saying, Jen, how you are ruining someone early on in life. Not all of them are going to turn into serial killers.
Yeah, and there are women, even though that they carry a child. I know someone personally who was like, even though she carried her child, she couldn't bond with her child for a while in the beginning, and I was taken aback, and it kind of threw me on. I was like, ew, like who carries a child 9 months and can't, what is, wrong with you? And it took me a long, long time to accept it, not even to understand it, because I still don't understand. I'm not going to sit up here and lie. I still don't understand it. I don't understand how you can carry a child 9 months and feeling it move and give it birth and give birth to it and look at it. And it's like, I still don't understand it. I would have to like dig deeper into trying to understand that whole thing. Like, how do you, but she said that she couldn't bond with the child for a while.
Yeah. I've actually heard that a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say one more thing to what Haran was talking about how you think your parents are a certain way and you got to realize they're just humans. And it reminded me when I was probably 20 something years old, and I came home, and at that point my mom and sister had moved to Nashville, and my dad was going to retire and move up eventually to Nashville. He did. And I was on his computer, and he was maybe 50 something, late 50s. And I saw a little thing that you click on for porn. And I was shocked. I was like, hey, maybe it's a mistake. Dad, what's this? But that comes with you thinking that your parents aren't like that. Your parents don't have those desires, and you not being at that age. Because once you get to that age, you realize it's totally normal.
You find your dad's porn magazines. You're like, ew, what the fuck? Like, look, what is you don't have sex, even if you're there because they had sex, you're like, you don't have, what is it?
Hey,
Look,
hey,
man,
no
it's
thing.
like,
Hopefully, you hide your toys. Your dungeon toys. Yeah, I'm sure you do. That would be a tough conversation to
I
have.
think about that though, George. I think about if my kids only. I said, boy, if they knew what I was watching right now. Oh my god!
listen, man, listen,
Kids kill your swag.
it's the 304. It's like the 304 argument. I tell people all the time, if everybody shakes their family trees, at least a good 10 hoes is gonna fall out. We all here because somebody's a hoe in your family. Like, you know what I mean? Somebody was hoeing, and that's how you got here. One of you motherfuckers got here. So hoeing is what it is. Thank God for the hoes. Because if everybody was a good girl, there'd probably be like 5 of us, you know what I mean, on the planet. But with that being said, again, I think a lot of times we don't admit that a lot of times people have kids, and this might hurt. And I probably am the same way. Maybe your mom went out there and had you because she really couldn't accomplish anything else in life. Same thing with your dad. Some people go out there and their biggest accomplishment in life is they had it. They're going to have a kid. They don't necessarily want one, but they want to accomplish one, or they want to have one as an accomplishment, or they resent their children because in their minds, they kept them from accomplishing a certain goal in their lives. And
I think it's the latter problem.
You know what I mean? And especially people, men and women in the entertainment industry and men in the sports industry, men who could have, gone pro. I've seen that shit 100 times. Men who could have gone pro, but they had the kid.
So
they might not say, but they'll take care of the kids, but deep down they keep saying to themselves like, shit, I gotta have a different life.
So I was actually I had the opportunity to adopt a kid a few years ago. And I was like, oh, okay, money was coming in good, all this other good stuff. But I had a list of reasons why I chose not to, and that was on the list. I really just took a strong look at my current ambition and my goals that I wanted to achieve and how driven I was and am now. And I was like, if I get honest with myself, I feel like I would resent this child if I put this child into my life. If I really get honest, because I'm still at this point extremely driven and focused, and I have things that I still want to do. And if I look at the two, I feel like I will be more fulfilled doing those things as opposed to, because I know it sounds great. Oh, the most fulfilling thing would be a parent, blah, blah, blah. Right. But then I know too many parents like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know too many parents who are regretting not following their dreams, and then they're taking it out on their child, even if it's in a passive aggressive way, right? And when I got honest, I felt like I would be that parent. And what child deserves that? You know?
I'll say, answering your question, Jay Regal says, Jen, would you call yourself a good, great mom? I mean, I'd do anything for my kids, but you have to ask my kids. And my kids, meaning my daughter and my grandbabies. Like, you would have to ask them. I can't answer that.
She's a great mom. I'll answer for her. And I'm not capping. If she sucked, I'd be silent. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, she's a great. If you weren't, I shouldn't have said nothing. But she's a great grandmother. She's a great, mom, straight up and down. I want to highlight a bountiful soul. It's a very deep comment. It's no. She said, I dated 2 mother's boys.
Oh yeah, that one.
That is some deep shit.
I dated 2 mother's boys. One committed self-deletion. Oh, okay. One committed self-deletion. The other was attempted deletion. The third I stayed with for over 18 years because I thought that he was going to commit self-deletion. Sheesh.
And that comes from a lot of them don't have life skills because mom hovers over them, so they don't have freaking life skills. So
Okay,
I
so
can see that.
great segue to the next paragraph, because I told you guys before, there's some an issue I've had dating in the past. Failed relationships and self-boycotting. Manipulative mothers consider their sons as their personal property.
Mm,
This toxic relationship has serious implications in his emotional development, in his psychological maturity, in his independence, and in his ability to make decisions. The evident consequence of this is the absolute difficulty in establishing intimacy and authentic emotional connection with his partner. Therefore, it is common that the mother does not hesitate to thwart off any attempt by her son to have his own space and to build an independent and happy life with another person. This gives rise to doubts in the mind of the adult son, and the boycott of himself is almost constant to the point of any and every relationship failing to conclude. It is important to emphasize a point: men are less likely to seek help and therefore go to therapy. Despite the fact that the man carries a good load of suffering, his capacity for denial is immense. Therefore, the adult children of manipulative mothers is a specific group that requires absolute attention, and our responsibility as a society is to help them. I agree 110%, and I will go deeper, because not only did I deal with men in the past that had those type of situations with their mothers, but their sisters as well. So it was a double whammy, where I was dealing with a man where the mother thought he was her property, and the sister also thought that little brother was her property. And I was like, I'm not having it. I'm not having a relationship with you, your miserable sister, and your mama. You need to go on ahead and take that back to them. I don't want them in my life like that. And I'm not I have to like you to vibe with you. It's not automatic because you're an in-law, because you may be an asshole or a dick, but it's never automatic. It's never automatic. My relationships and friendships are not happenstance, right? It's not like, oh, you just happen to be related to the guy I'm dating, so I like you. I've never been that way. And people don't like me. I've gotten into situations because the mother and the sister, I didn't warm up to them fast enough. And I'm like, I'm fucking your brother, not you. I don't have to warm up to you. But I do notice that when, because I'm still friends with, some of these guys, and I noticed that there was friction when we were together between me, him, the mother, and the sister. And then after we broken up, the sister is close to him again. And I'm like, do you not see that as long as you're single, these bitches are happy?
right.
As long as you're single, these bitches are happy. Now they're calling you and you're calling them and everybody's happy. But when you're in a relationship, I was an issue. And then why she don't call, and why she don't come for Thanksgiving, and why she don't celebrate Christmas? I was a huge issue. And not everybody's getting along famously. And I told one of my exes, I was like, I bet you and your sister close now, huh? And he just stood quiet. He was like, think about it. So I agree with this 110%.
Look at Blueface. Look at Blueface and his mama. It's a sick situation.
No, that woman want to be with her son.
All that my son is my king shit, and you dress this little nigga up like a motherfucker who just came home from jail. You know what I mean? That shit is some twisted shit, man. That's some deep shit. That's some deep shit. These are the things we don't talk about in the Black community. Like earlier, we saw a clip of Nicki Minaj sunning her husband on the low, essentially speaking to him and calming him down as if he was a child. And too many times in the Black community, I've seen this situation where men get in these situations where they're not dating their wives, they're not dating their girlfriends, they are with their mothers. And these women are speaking to these men like they're children.
So the guy I was with for 11 years, that was like, I had the horrible relationship with, and his mother, the one that his mom didn't touch him to 7 or 8. I mean, I didn't know the consequences of that. Because I was young, I didn't know the consequences of a man that wasn't touched to 7 or 8 till I was in it, right? I didn't know the consequences because you're young. You don't know about psychology. You're just like, oh, your mom was a bitch. Okay, moving on. No. There's no moving on. There's nothing but hell and hell and hell. And when I broke up with him, I remember, you know, how you break up the makeup and break up the makeup, and we broke up, and you know, he was very adamant about, you left me out here to fend for myself when you left me, and I was like, did you say something? Oh, what is happening? What is happening? And that's when I realized the amount of damage. I was like, this woman damaged him and put him out in the world for everybody else to deal with.
Jen, I know you know the experiment with the I forgot what kind of primates they were, the little monkeys or whatever, and they gave the monkey a choice between food or hugging a wire with fur on top of it, and it would choose the wire with fur that looked like another monkey. You would see it run over to it and grab it and hug it, because that was so important for that baby monkey to have that bond with the mother. So yeah, I truly believe that what you're talking about was a direct result. This 11-year relationship with this person was a direct result of messed up, because children need that. Children need that connection, and you could just see this. Most animals are going to eat food every time as long as they have everything else met, right? They kept this baby monkey, it's kind of cruel, away from any kind of affection, and it went to a wire with fur on it, like just put over. It was sad. It made you sad when you saw how much it ran over there and just grabbed.
It's okay, because I'm coming now, saying Lily will tell you what I'm gonna do and I get money, right, Lily?
Yep. I'll be right with you. I'm gonna have a whole zoo.
I'm going to hug sad monkeys.
Yep, I'm gonna have a whole zoo.
I'm gonna go out.
Jay Regal, that's a silly question. It's a silly question. It's a little immature. He's like, Jen, what attracted you to that kind of guy?
Right.
No one knows that you're that kind of guy or that kind of girl until you're in it. Like, we don't look at, like, you know what I mean? They don't, hey, you're dysfunctional. You hate women. You can't connect. You feel like you're in a bed. Let me love you. That's not how relationships work. Everybody,
especially when you're younger, because when you're younger and you feel like you can help them and fix them, and like, oh my gosh, she did what?
We're talking late 20s. I am now 49, darling. No, not the monkey. I'm gonna go hug the sad monkeys. Yeah. So with that said, guys, I do want, it is
look at the mouth on that poor little monkey. Look.
Oh, the baby. Bring him here. I don't like his haircut.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
So Haran, say the last thing you gotta say, and then I'm going to segue for a Saturday night.
All right. Well, the one thing that I really want to say here is that this all boils down to one thing. Female rejection from men just rarely ends well. It just rarely ends well. That's why we're having these issues right now. You got these guys, they're constantly being rejected by the women that they fawn after. You know what I mean? If men come into this world and they have issues with their mama, you know what I mean? They grow up and, I don't know, eat people like Jeffrey. You know what I mean? It's just always ends bad. You know what I mean? And it just speaks to just even subconsciously, you know, how men subconsciously we're always at war where how we perceive and view women. If we're putting them here, if we're putting them there, it's always that constant debate and argument. And yes, depending on where you place them in your life, it's going to have a direct effect on where you are and where you go in life. I will say that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's segue. I got something fun. We're not going to be all doom and gloom tonight, all right? Damn it. Somebody was saying something about, you know, when we were talking about, like, we don't know who people really are. So guess what I got? I got something. Hold on. I'll be right back. Un momento.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. We're going to have to just divulge things about ourselves. It's being recorded. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
What book do you have there, Jen?
Wait, you remember when we
the Quran?
No, remember when we used to do Freaky Fridays? And
Yes.
Mr. Justin was always like, yeah, people don't know what women fantasize about. There's a whole book chock full of like fantasies of
Oh,
this
okay.
woman. And she collected real fantasies of women and what they really want for men. So I bought the book because, you know, Lily and I are doing Sisterhood Sips on Mondays. And we're going to use some of the stuff in this book. So basically, this book is called My Secret Garden. It's women's sexual fantasies. It's a classic bestseller. It's by Nancy Friday. And it is literally hundreds of pages of just women talking about what they want sexually. Hundreds of pages. They were free to say it. They changed their names. So they was like, I'm just going to say what it is. So I'm just going to flip through, seeing as none of us really know our parents, but do we really know anybody really?
So we're just assuming that
Absolutely
none
not.
of these women are parents, will never be parents, and never thought about being parents, have never been a
You know
parent.
when you know somebody? You know when you know somebody?
When?
Very few people
When you,
can hide who they are in the bedroom.
I'm about to say when you grab their phone.
That too. But you know, very few people can hide who they are in the bedroom. The phone is a very close second.
Yeah, it is. That's true. Yeah, people in the bedroom are definitely different in real life.
Let me
You like what you
see.
like.
This book, I've never opened it, to be honest. The chapters look quite interesting. So I'm just going to grab a page. I'll just flip through it and just pick something. Okay.
Uh-oh.
These women are talking about their husbands. Oh, my God.
Of course they are. What a time to snitch in a book.
All right, so let's just grab one. Let's grab one. Okay, Madge. Let's see what Madge has to say. Madge says, what a relief it is to admit to fantasies and to tell them to someone as understanding as you obviously are. I have a regular fantasy brought on by lack of interest by my husband. He fucks me every 5 or 6 weeks, and it is always the same. We are in bed with the lights out, and he starts to play with his prick. This goes on often for a half an hour or even longer. He used to get me to do it, but he doesn't bother now. I feel him start to really rub hard and breathe heavily. Then he pulls up my nightie, still under the sheet, says, open your legs, babe. Sounds like no saying. And after and after about 2 seconds, he comes inside me, rolls off, and goes to sleep. All this time, and especially afterward, when I know he's asleep, I play with myself then. I really enjoy my own fantasy. I find myself, here's the fantasy. I find myself at the door of a big house. The door opens and a very big black man, now this sounds like Quran, with a buxom black woman behind him are inside. He grabs me and pulls me inside with the woman pushing, helping him. They drag me into a room in which a large Alsatian? Help me out, scholars. Alsatian?
Yeah, a
Somebody-
dog. I think an Alsatian is a dog or like a German
Dog?
Shepherd.
Where are we going with this?
Go on, go. You opened it.
I'm
Keep reading.
I'm going.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Very
Proceed
obvious.
with caution.
In a full sense. Is tied up with a boy of about 14. The boy is naked. I am ordered to strip naked. Let's see what you've got. The black man leers at me. I protest, and he produces a whip while his wife forcibly undresses me and ties my hands behind my back. She takes his trousers off and exposes his penis, which is abnormally big and stiff as she rolls his foreskin back. She rolls that shit back and forth. I am forced to kneel in front of him, and when he tells me to, I am forced to use the words cock and prick to describe it. I am made to beg to be fucked, and he makes me say the word fucked several times to emphasize it. Then the dog, it was a dog. George, it was a dog. It was a fucking dog, George. Then the dog is unleashed, and I am forced on my back while the dog is coaxed so that my head is by his penis, and he starts licking in between my legs. I have to feel his penis and rub it gently. Finally, I am made to turn around and okay, so next fantasy.
Yeah, I'm not liking where this fantasy is going, but let's just go.
Few things.
Go ahead.
I'm not shocked that a woman named Madge has this kind of fantasy.
Not
Something. It's just something about a chick named Madge having that fantasy. That
do you think she's white?
Well, no, that was Madonna's nickname. That was Madonna's nickname back in the 90s.
That's what I'm saying, that because Madonna is a wild one. Anyway, secondly, notice how she calls her husband's dick a prick, and she refers to this black man's joint as a penis. See, ladies and gentlemen, I assure you that black man didn't have a dad bod in this fantasy. I assure you.
But let's just take note. Let's take note. This is the real fucking deal. These are the type of fantasies that women have and don't say out loud. That's what this book is. And this is why I'm saying all the time that men think that because they like an abundance of sex, that
right.
That doesn't make you a freak. You just like having sex. If you could get in a woman's mind, you'd run holding your nuts out of her house.
Well, let's be fair to the husband. I mean, she might have brought up the fact she wanted a dog in the room, and he probably said, "Listen, I'm just gonna fuck her every 5 weeks. And I'm just gonna tell her to open up, babe."
I'll be frank with you right now. I'll be frank with you right now. 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, men are not as creative and adventurous sexually as most women are. It's just not.
That's a fact.
Completely agree with you.
You know what I mean? They're just not. Like, I have heard some fantasies. I've engaged in some fantasies. I've had some fantasies myself that, you know what I mean, were a little bit out there. But most of the time, when I hear some of these fantasies that these women have entrusted me with, trust me, it will blow your fucking mind. I had one woman tell me flat out that she had a dream and a fantasy before that when she got married, that immediately, because she said that her husband was attractive, but also his brothers were, and her father. She said she had a fantasy that they all gangbanged her at the fucking reception after she married her fucking husband.
Were they hot?
Very graphic. What's up? No, she said she had that fantasy that they would all gangbang her.
Well, she said that they were hot to her. She said that they were hot to her.
Yeah, she said they were hot to her. She said her brothers were
talking about keeping it all in the family.
Yeah, that's what it was. And she was getting passed around with, you know what I mean, and whatever, what have you in her fantasy, and she was loving every bit of it. And I didn't judge her, because, to be honest with you, pretty much was one of the most tamest fucking fantasies that I was ever told about a woman. It's some crazy shit.
Yeah, I was about to say that is kind of tame.
Yeah, that's a tame one. Yeah.
Now you see these two men over here, like, well, goddamn.
No, it's tame. It's tame, but it's just like, it's 3
guys. I wanted to illustrate a point. These two women are here. They're like, oh, that's nothing. There's nothing. Them 2 dudes over here is like, well, that's wild. That's insane. Like. And there is my point. Point, man.
Let's move on to Abby. Hopefully there won't be any canines in this story.
Or children. Okay.
Or children. Let's go with Abby. Abby says, I've been thinking more and more about my fantasies lately. I even tried talking to my husband about them. That is, the ones I think would make him angry only. I wouldn't dare tell him that I often think of my old boyfriend, of how it used to be with him, nor of my thoughts of some unknown man who has forced himself upon me, which in my imagination, I seem to enjoy. For some odd reason, while having sexual relations with my husband, I prefer him to be fully clothed. And while we are in bed, I'd rather not see his parts. I'd rather we have sex when I didn't have to see his penis. Although he enjoys studying my areas, I cannot bring myself to do the same. It turns me on more when things are left to the imagination, but my husband tends to parade his parts in front of me, even though I've asked him not to, and mentioned that our sex life might improve if he doesn't. You may therefore find it strange that in my latest fantasy, I tell my husband that I think I would enjoy watching him have sex with another woman. Not really someone we know, preferably some strange female. That way we'd know no relationship could come of it. But if it were to come true, I don't know if I'd had the nerve to allow it, yet I keep thinking it would be fun. I always have fantasies of me with other women, but these women have no face. I mean, there are no one in particular. These occur usually during masturbation, which is maybe 2-3 times a month. I don't really have lesbian fantasies. I don't think I'm gay, because for me to do the act on a female, to me, it seems repulsive. But the idea of a female doing it, to me, seems pleasurable. Selfish, perhaps. I don't know. I know I began this letter by saying I do discuss some fantasies with my husband, but I'm afraid that even that is a fantasy. I can't think of any fantasy we've discussed, but then we have a communication problem anyway later. That was the safe, right?
Yeah, that was safe. That was safe.
Whack.
Okay.
That was fucking whack.
All right.
Fucking whack. Go to therapy. What the fuck?
Yeah, she's bi too. She just doesn't want to admit it.
No, Jen has said that Jen has that outlook. Like,
yeah, I'm not. No, I would. Yeah, I would be the Edie, not the eater. Yeah, I'm not. That's not my thing. I tried it once. Not for me. Salute to you, fellas. Not for me. Okay, this is a short one.
That's nothing special. Many women would sit there and
that's nothing special.
Many women would sit there and get their shit ate, especially if it was dark. They ain't questioning shit. And this dark, it's in the moment.
Let's keep it buck. Most men and women, most humans allow themselves to be pleasured by whatever the fuck
I will
is
say that
pleasure.
yes. No. I will say that yes. I'll say that yes.
What they say on the Star Report, a mouth is a mouth.
Right.
I knew a dude.
A lot of men are like that. A lot of men are like that, Haran. Let's not be we're not going. What we're not going to do is go into 2024 pretending like motherfuckers don't like their dick sucked and their pussy ate, no matter who's doing it. Like, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so on this good October 29th, we're going to say we telling the truth about that shit from now on. Period. Point blank.
Goodness, wait. No, let me hide that. Wait. This bro is like, what is going on in the other night? Okay, let's go. Let's move on to Heather. This one is short. Heather, I'm 22 and very shy, and group gropes aren't my scene at all. But my imagination isn't the least bit shy. When my husband and I are making love or when I masturbate, I visualize my husband screwing another woman while I am screwing another man. We're all in the same room or in 2 big double beds, and I can see what they're doing in a big mirror. It excites me very much. I can't remember when this started or why it started, but I very rarely reach orgasm without thinking about it now. She's going to do it.
That's it?
That's it? She just fantasized. That's it?
You want to see that fucking sucks. Where's the good stuff in this shit? Right now, Madge is like right here. She's in the lead.
Right. I'm being careful because I don't want to run into another dog, Haran.
Right. Well, I mean, this is scary. This book is scary.
At least her shit is like, okay, this is getting interesting. You know what I mean? This other shit is like, I picture my husband making love to another woman in front of me in the mirror, and we're all caressing each other, and there's violin music playing in the background. Like, nigga, the fuck? Yes. Or maybe I'm just so fucked up. I don't know.
Yeah, it's that part. Let's see this one. Yeah, I'm afraid of these stories now. Shit, it's a long book now. I see there's a pattern here, husbands. There's a pattern here. All these fantasies start with my husband, wah, wah, wah.
Right.
I have another one.
Look, listen, man, after a while and this is another reasons why guys got to, we got to stay on point. We got to stay out of routine and so on and so forth. After a while, the sex becomes, if you don't make it exciting, if you're not into the sex, it can become very much a chore and can become very much routine. And the shit turns into a fucking algorithm. And women hate algorithms. You know what I mean? They do. Everything is every there has to be some sense of surprise. I mean, just grab them in the bathroom and just to grab them by the neck, maybe push their head against the glass a little bit, rip it down, and and just go to work. Things, spontaneous shit like that is what keeps things moving.
But Haran, since we're kind of limited generally by our imagination, wouldn't it make sense to also have that kind of conversation with her? Say, hey, look, tell me, be who you want to be in the bedroom. Tell me what this is. Because she's going to probably be like, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm going to give this a shot, see how much he's willing to do. And you take it one step at a time. First, and then you ramp it on up. Yeah, you can try the other stuff but if she's not into that, then,
Initiate. Always as a man, initiate. Especially
but or get that book. Yeah, get the book. Yeah, and read that.
Minus the dog,
And the kid.
Yeah,
right.
Leave the dog and the kid home.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna read Nora. Nora as well starts with, my husband is not an imaginative man, and our lovemaking is not at all varied. I used to attempt to get him to try different things, but he never wanted to. The reason that I was more advanced was not that I'd had more experience before marriage than he had, but I had had some, and I guess what took place was what the man wanted in all cases. Anyway, he was clearly offended. For example, when I tried once to push his head down toward my vagina, I'm changing the words, and he stubbornly pushed it up again to give me a conventional kiss on the mouth. He doesn't even seem happy with me on top, although he lets me once in a while. In every other area except bed, I consider him an ideal husband, or at least a good one. So I'm not determined to reconcile myself to a somewhat deprived sex life. The way I do it is I achieve variety with my fantasies, and I achieve an orgasm almost every time by using them. I think variety is the key to the whole thing, and the reason so many marriages go stale is that they just do the same thing over and over and over again. Well, so do we, but in my head it's different every single time. I do it all quite deliberately. I can tell when I'm getting ready for bed whether my husband is in the mood or not. And if he is, I get myself all sexed up mentally even before I get near the bed while I'm brushing my hair and undressing and so forth. Sometimes I linger longer in the bathroom just so I can get to the right point in my fantasy. Then when we're having the same old version of sex, I'm having my old Arabian Nights. I mean it. It's like the 1001 Nights with me as a Scheherazade?
Oh,
Arabian. I'm about to say the Arabian concubine.
Okay.
The good stuff. Concubine. Okay.
Telling myself a different sex story each time. For the first dozen or so times, it was just me and a man. I describe all the different things we did. Then I went on to think of different settings, like doing it on the kitchen floor, maybe with a delivery boy, or in my neighbor's garage when I went to borrow a tool. Then I got involved for a long time with doing 69 with people watching. Then I started thinking of myself with two men. And just lately, I've been in a whole group, both men and women. I've never imagined myself with a woman, but other than that, I'll try anything mentally. I'm able to pace the flow of my thoughts to what's really going on. And this way, it works for me almost every time. So she's not even in the room with that man.
Yeah, that one is the most common one. Like, that's the most common, like, fantasy, for a married woman or a woman in a relationship. Like, that's just like they go from the add on enough, like 2 guys and 3 guys in a group, and it's like, yeah.
That right there is what you call, ladies and gentlemen, that is a woman aching to be a good girl. And a good girl, and 9 times out of 10, is someone who is a woman who just yearns to be someone's sexual property, a plaything, a toy. That's that shit. That's that shit.
Sub. sub in a DS relationship.
I know. I was reading that too, Jen. I was like, "Oh, poor baby."
So, do you want to be the husband in this book in part 2?
It sounds like he on his way there. Like it sounds like he's on his way there.
If the sex is good, you don't need the extra. Be creative and only concern yourself with your partner's pleasure. But guys, it's not that deep. Least it shouldn't be. Your partner's pleasure is.
It's all fun and games until you find out your girl's getting railed out in the jacuzzi, and you know what I mean. Some fucking hotel in Brazil.
Thank you for this. This might be risky. Shout out to Jen and the panel. Haran, just to clarify, you agreed with the "a mouth is a mouth" sentiment shared earlier. That book's different, by the way. Laughing out loud.
No, he's not being intellectually just.
I heard that who said a mouth is a mouth. I have never had another male's mouth on my penis. I've never had
the guy who came up here that night. I forgot his name, but he just
number 9. Number 9.
He was very adamant. Yes, he was very adamant. He threw a couple of shots at Lily. He's very, very loving with Lily.
Yeah. We love you,
Spro. Oh, yeah.
Spro, we love
Number
you.
9.
Number 9, whatever.
Yeah.
He was a very wild.
He was a colorful individual. He was.
He was.
Not colorful.
Very colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But at the end of the day, I personally do. Yes, I like adventurous women. I like so-called crazy women. Whatever they come on, man. They keep life interesting, man. You can't, like I said, a little attitude. It seasons the box, as they say. You know what I mean? You gotta, you know what I mean? Come on, man. If sex can't be the one thing in your life where you're seeking to be adventurous, then what the hell else do you have outside of that? If you're not being adventurous in your career or something, there has to be something in your life where you're being adventurous, man.
What's interesting about this is that it goes to show, like, even when women and men settle into a marriage or a long-term relationship and the man is like, he's comfortable, even when they've been together for years, the woman's mind is still spinning for more desire, for more passion, for more adventure, even when she's going through the rigmarole of, the daily chores and shit like that. She's still like, you think she's like, oh, we just had sex. It was mind blowing. Yeah, I really showed her. And in her mind, she's like, oh God, if I could only have those 2 monkeys in my fantasy, and someone could feed me, Jello and shit. The women are yo. So all right, so I'll read like 2 more, and then we'll be done with it.
Monkeys and Jello. Hey.
Monkeys.
Hang.
Bedtime stories with Jen. At 10 o'clock on Saturday.
He had to fix his glasses on that one when he heard monkeys with Jello. He had to fix his glasses on that. It's like, oh, okay, that's
stranger things have happened.
All right, so Corinne says this fantasy really happened.
Corinne Stephens.
Corinne Fox. Jamie Foxx.
My ex is named Corinne. Let me hear this one.
Okay. So she says, this fantasy really happened. What I mean is that it was told to me by the guy involved. It happened to him and another girl. But I've always loved the story and I like him so much, even though we've never made it together, that I fantasize that I am the girl that he and I do make it in this very jolly way. Sometimes I'll be on the subway and I find I have this foolish smile on my face as I think about this fantasy. I wish it would happen. Even if it never does, it's helped me pass a lot of otherwise boring hours with men. I've agreed to help a bachelor friend paint his new apartment. And since it's a hot day, we've both shed our clothes to do the job. He's up on a high ladder, slapping paint on the ceiling with the broad brush while I'm standing below painting the walls with a roller. It's a water paint, pale gray. I think I know where this is going. Pale gray. At one point, as we were laughing at some joke, we've been smoking a joint and the record player is on loud. I glance up at him as he grins down at me, and from below his balls looks so funny and nice, even though he and I have never been to bed together. I don't really know him well enough to know how he'll take it. Even so, I reached up with my roller dripping gray paint and slather his bouncing balls and on up to his collarbone. He lets out a yell and, risking his life, he's down the ladder like a flash and lets go. Slap with the brush on my tits, left then right, and I go spinning around and he whops me on the behind, left and right with his big fat brush. So I run my roller up on one of his sides from the ankle to the armpit. So he dabs me in the navel and I double over laughing and he's on top of me and we go down in a puddle of gray paint, writhing and wrestling and struggling. And both of us suddenly aroused, hot as hell and panting. And I'm saying, put it in. And he's trying to get me in position so he can. And I get my legs up around his neck in a frenzy. Flexible, this one. So he can, and I get my legs up around his neck in a frenzy so he can find my vagina. And it's all impossible with all the goddamn paint. And suddenly I see his eyes widen with panic and I feel it the second time. The paint is burning us up, but it's only the first second we mind it. Then it becomes the greatest sensation in the world. We both start sliding together and the slimy stuff on all our surfaces glues us together and we get it in and we slide around fucking and fucking and fucking and fucking and fucking and fucking. Paint? Anyone think of paint?
I just don't like gray paint up in me. I hate when that happens. When you have to put the turpentine, or you have to douche with turpentine. It's like, who wants to do that?
Paint, anybody? I knew where it was going when she said it was water paint.
Is there anything in there, Jen, about water sports?
Oh, you already know water sports is in there.
Yeah,
Water.
it has to be.
It has to be. Maybe several times, actually.
Yeah, leave out the part about scat. I don't want to hear anything about scat.
What's
Yeah.
that? Cool, that's
Dubai.
Joy.
Just think Dubai. Just think Dubai. Just think Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah. That's leave it at that. Yeah, leave it at that.
Okay, I'll do one more. Hopefully it's a good one.
I'll share an actual fantasy that I had that actually came true, that I made come true when I was in college. Just finish that one. I'll show one after that.
Okay. I'll grab another one. A lot of these bitches are gay. All I see is I want to be with a woman.
I want to hear the mother.
Jen, if you go down there to the local dungeon, you'll see all kinds of stuff.
There's a dungeon here in Vegas. Well, I'm sure it's Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, it's a few dungeons.
Exactly, that shit is Vegas.
Yeah. Right. It's like set on top of dungeons and shit.
Pretty much.
Some of these are. Whoo, there's a lot of sexual assault in this book.
Well, that's the number one fantasy for women. So that's that is a number one fantasy. So that's definitely not.
What's the funniest thing?
All in it.
It's the funniest thing about those lists that really, it just showed how just out of touch a lot of people are when it comes to these dates. Like, who do you think is the one who, out of both of these genders, who do you think is the one that insinuates sex on the first fucking date? Who do you think is the one that implies it?
Men.
Not a lot of time. Imply it, but actually create a situation where that shit happens. Do you think it's the man or the woman?
Well, the woman is the one that gives the green light.
Absolutely. But a lot of times in my experience, and speaking to my brothers, you know what I mean? A lot of times the women will shift it in a way and create signals where they want to fuck after the first fucking date.
This bro wants to come up for the last couple seconds to hear what he should do with his marriage. Bro, you better get. He
was a bit perturbed in the chat.
Oh, it's supposed his pearls.
Right.
I
I'm gonna send him some pearls for when he watches the show.
I am
If you
just
looked into
listen. Aside from these fantasies, I am just my mind is blown. I think the red pill would learn from this, and the manosphere would learn from this because they swear that they marry a chick and they sail off into the sunset. These women are married. I keep seeing married. They got married. I'm married. He's married. So
most
let's
of these
see.
women are like, most of these women are like this because society fucking represses women sexually.
Exactly.
So you're gonna repress a bunch of motherfuckers from doing things, and that hunger grows and grows and grows. It starts thinking about all kinds of shit. And when they eventually marry a motherfucker and say, "Hey, okay, yes, this is the person I'm gonna spend my life with. This is all the shit I want to do with this guy," and this guy's like, "No, I don't do that stuff. No,
Right.
So here's a young girl. She says, "I am 25 years old and have been happily married for 4 years. My earliest memories of sexual sensation go back to when I was about 3 years old. I remember after my parents put me to bed that I would take my clothes off. I enjoyed being nude. Then I would put them back on. That is all I can remember, the exciting feelings of my own nude body. My fantasies during masturbations are generally of my old boyfriends. Them old boyfriends, boy. I never had intercourse with any of them, but when I masturbate, I wonder what it would be like. Often during the fantasy, my husband watches. He doesn't do anything. He simply is there. My fantasies during sex with my husband are quite different. Mostly my thoughts are on what we are doing, although sometimes mentally I take it out of the bedroom and imagine we are on a quiet beach, quite nude, or lying in an open field with green grass all around us. I often think of us skinny dipping on a lonely beach. The idea of nudity, of the two of us being nude outdoors, excites me. I have no desire to tell my husband of my fantasies, of the excitement it would give me for the two of us to be nude outside the privacy of our bedroom. I think speaking them out loud would definitely lessen their effectiveness and affect the marriage."
Oh my God. I already see a problem with her fantasies though. She lives in a world where there aren't mosquitoes, sandflies, or anything, because that would be a horrible idea.
Anyway, let me get to
no saying okay, because you know what?
Serious right now. Are you
Right.
serious right now?
See, this.
Let me look at this. Africa is. Hold on.
This is the bad one. To me, that's a bad one. It sounds very.
that was a terrible one.
No, they're laying in the grass. You know, I mean, you're getting bit. You're laying in grass. You are getting eaten up.
No one's thinking about that. No saying. No one is thinking.
That's what I'm saying. That's not a very well thought out fantasy.
That reminds me of.
Imagine if she gets a tick.
It was worth it if you got a nut. It was worth it, probably a good nut.
That reminds me of one of my dates. We went to Central Park. She wanted to take me to Central Park, and you know we're on the sheet, blah blah blah. We're eating whatever, and she ain't bring no fucking panties, man. I realized she ain't bring no panties. I'm just sitting there, what? You know what I mean? I just said, "Oh, this would be great." We're sitting there right in the middle of Central Park. There's a bit of a crowd around. There were no kids or anything like that. There were grown people around. So I decided to play with her in the middle of Central Park around people and things like that.
New York, no one cares.
That's exactly what I was thinking to myself. Now that's not necessarily edgy. That's not the fantasy that I was telling y'all. But
this is New York.
In a situation like that, no saying. I wasn't thinking to myself like, well, I hope a tick or anything doesn't crawl in her vagina. That will be.
And it looks like the rain for the forecast said it's going to rain and then sunburn.
So we can talk about.
We don't become a wash
in the middle of. Okay, in the you know my little quick scroll, and we're gonna close soon. Here's Spro. Hi, Spro.
Now it's a party.
How are you, darling?
Oh Jesus! Sorry.
Are you still throwing up, Spro, from our stories, our fantasies?
No, I hit my bong and I didn't expect Jen to put me on this quick.
Jesus Christ! He's high as hell. He's high as fucking hell.
Oh no, not as hell. I just got off work, Karan. So
okay,
that's
just
like
started.
The after work. Remember, I'm a
gotcha.
So in flipping through this, I'm seeing even just flipping a little bit through it, I'm seeing a pattern of woman is married, doesn't really want to tell her husband. Group sex there's a lot of group sex in here. There's a lot of sexual assault, and there's a lot of fantasy about girl on girl action. It seems like the reoccurring. That seems like the reoccurring.
If I were to take a guess, like if you would have asked me to guess what the 3 top fantasies were, I would have guessed those 3 based off what my girlfriends tell me. Those are the top 3. So sounds about right.
It doesn't.
So let's read before. Go ahead, Haran.
They get this recurring theme, and you're picking some of these randomly. It's this random. Sounds like these repressed wives, man. Literally,
and it sounds like repressed wives and
years. She's been married for years.
Repressed wives and clueless husbands, because their husbands probably don't think there's anything wrong.
I was expecting to hear like, maybe chicks who do some casual dating and so on. Even like, yeah, this is my shit. This is what I'm into, blah, blah, blah. I'm just hearing like some washed up wives out there. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, oh, my husband, I wish he would do this and yada, yada. Like, I'm assuming that a number of them are like that. That's really crazy. It says a lot if that is the case.
It's like Everybody Loves Raymond.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever watched that show? Yo, real shit. Yeah. Yo, like I always loved that show. Like even when I was young, which is like weird. I mean, I know I'm younger than everyone here, but like when I was like younger, like as a teenager, I loved that show. And then I got married. And fuck me, it might be funnier than Seinfeld. Just because I'm married now. All right, so I know it's like getting to the end. I'm always late. But I'm gonna try to wrap up everything in a nice little bow. All right, so I'm the only married cat, and not only that, but I'm the youngest. So it's like
no Saint is married.
Oh, no Saint,
20 years. 20 years, yeah.
All right. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Okay. Okay, so no Saint. So like
There's other
I
people
count
suffering out here.
I count myself as a newlywed, right? Like I've known my wife a long time, but like we haven't been married long. And we have a young daughter. Pretty much like, I found out my wife was pregnant the day after our wedding. Yeah, fuck me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your bow. Your bow. You were tying everything up in a bow?
Oh yeah. Oh, trying. Sorry.
You hold on to that. I'm gonna read Evelyn.
Yeah.
Let's read that,
bro. I think that you had a little too much of that bong, bro. Yeah. A little too much.
I shouldn't even mention that. Would I say literally like first hit?
Okay, so I'm gonna read Evelyn.
Anyway,
Evelyn.
This is the first time I have ever answered an advertisement, but I was intrigued by your request. You ask about sexual fantasies. I was beginning to think that I was not right in the head because I must have my own fantasy. Otherwise, sexual intercourse is impossible for me to enjoy. My husband is very patient and willing to indulge in any variation we can think of, but I very rarely think of him when actually engaged in intercourse. I think of why do you guys get married?
I'm still trying to figure that shit out. I
was thinking that.
I think of my past lovers. Everybody's thinking of their past lovers. This is crazy. I think of my past lovers, of whom they are many, mostly under 18 years of age. I myself am 29. I wish myself into an erotic situation. What I want mostly is to have several young men about 18 years old, tied up in a row, all naked, with their penises flaccid, and walk along the road playing with them until their penises stand high. Then each one has to put his finger inside me when I bend down in front of him. When they have done this, I suck each one until they are nearly ready to come. This thought gets me really wound up. Then I see them all playing with their own dicks and shooting their lot as far as they can. The one who shoots the furthest gets to fuck me first. And so on down the line. I never get a climax until the last one puts his tongue on my nipples and apex gently, then I come all over him. If this fantasy were offered to me in reality, believe me, I would not run from it. This letter is quite true, and although it was hard to start, I'm glad I have written it and got it out. I am telling you.
The freedom. The freedom.
To me, gentlemen. This is how women think.
That sounds like the retreat. There was a college retreat. And when we all got out there were some very wild things that happened. But one of the things that happened was that there was a line. So maybe 10 or 15 guys. And a woman, she sucked them all off, man. She sucked them all off to completion, like one after the other. So that kind of oh yeah, that's we pretty much all said God bless her. But anyway, that kind of reminded me of that. I immediately thought about that, like, oh shit, that kind of did happen once. I saw something like that.
Oh yeah, it happened.
I've seen some wild shit.
Before Spro ties it up into a bow, however long that takes, I just want to share my experience real quick. I personally wanted to, if I could have sex and play an instrument at the same time. So when I was in college, I brought one of my girls down to the practice room at one time, cut the lights off, did whatever, and had her rod me. And I was playing Beethoven while she was riding me.
Moonlight Sonata?
Yes. That's one. No, actually, yes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's actually one of my favorite pieces. And I love that piece.
Everybody's favorite piece.
You know what I mean? And I'm playing this shit, and it's just amazing thing because I'm realizing, like, yeah, I'm locked into this shit. This music is playing, and she's just going ham. And she has a huge fucking ass. But anyway, it was just this amazing experience. And after I was done with that, I took her upstairs to the woman's room, and we fucked in one of the stalls in there, man. You know what I mean? It was a great fucking time, man. Anyway, yeah, that's my shit. Every time that plays, I think about it every time when that plays, like, I wonder how she's doing.
Thank you, Louis Kanye, for the super chat. Louis Kanye is like, what the fuck did I just walk into?
That's great.
Again, it's like this is real women talking about real shit, and there's a pattern here. It seems like marriage for women now this all makes sense now.
It all makes sense.
80% of women filing for divorce, like this is all now making sense. It's all now making fucking sense.
Yep. You think the 80% is all sexual? Like
no, just not satisfied in totality, right. Like the redundancy, the monotony, all of that.
That's you know it's weird. Like literally, it might have been like 2 weeks ago. I don't even know how we got on the topic, but I was telling my wife, I was like, yeah, like some married couples like don't have sex, and she was like, how you mean? And I was like, well, no. I was like, it's like a thing. I was like, I've seen it. I've talked to like cats. Like it like happens. And she was like what? Like the wives aren't having sex with their husbands? And I was like, usually that's what it is, but like it happens the other way too, and like it's for multiple reasons. And it turned into like a really deep, maybe not deep, but like a really good conversation about this kind of thing. And I'm younger. I've been married long. And I can say this, like marriage, like I do think that it's people, I see it all the time. I noticed it before I was married, before I even like had context or like knew anything about it. And I thought it didn't make sense just based off of what I always thought the definition of marriage was and like what that kind of thing was. But just in the few years that I've been married, yeah, it's people are just getting married like just for the fuck of it. I do also think that like the stories and testimonies that you shared, and kind of the things that connect them. And again, when I say this, I am saying this is just, I'm throwing this out there as a theory, and don't Don't everyone hop on me. But I think a correlation is sexual promiscuity overall. And this goes for both sides. I think the men and the women. Statistics show that like people that like have fewer sexual partners or like people that get married and like they're both virgins for whatever reasons. It's not always for religious reasons. Most of the time nowadays, that's usually what you see. But every now and again, there are two people that are virgins and they get married and their sex lives are better and they usually stay together. I think obviously not all the time. Well, here's the thing. When I say better, get this, they don't have anything to compare it to.
Right. So
that's the thing.
Make it better. That's
But they're
right.
satisfied. They're just
So what I'm saying is, I think that says something. So I'm not saying that society overall should start necessarily pushing, like, oh, just stay a virgin until you're married. But I think there's something to that. I think just awareness sexually overall, I would say for everybody, even I'm keep it a buck. It affects the women worse than the men. But like, try to keep the body count. Like, just be aware. And I feel like everyone always says that. Every generation is like, hey man, just be safe, and be aware. But I would argue, just from the stories you shared and like what we're showing, get this: if marriage is something that you want, if you feel as though you're a monogamous person and you eventually want to settle down with one person, then you probably, if that's something that you think may even be an option later on in life, because like young people, they don't know what they want. And like, even if they think that may not be the thing later on, but just when you're engaging with people sexually, keep the body counts low. I think if you keep the body counts low, you'll have a better sexual life. If monogamy and marriage is something that you desire, because that's what we're talking about. And that's the context. I think that
great points, but I think the problem is that human beings are not naturally monogamous. Let's start there, right? So
they're not biologically, and you can tell that just from science.
They're not, and that's why calling someone promiscuous doesn't make sense. You understand?
Well, what I'll say is,
okay. No, wait. It's like calling an animal promiscuous, right? We mate. We mate. All animals mate. Like, you wouldn't go and call a monkey promiscuous. You wouldn't go and call a duck promiscuous. You wouldn't go call a tiger promiscuous. It is really society. This is how women think. These are young women. These aren't 304s. These aren't strippers. I've been married 45 years. I've been married 12 years. I'm 22. I'm 25. So this isn't just a 50-year-old woman who's had 1,000 sexual partners and now she can't be monogamous with her husband.
Oh, no. I don't think that either.
25, 20. So when you tell somebody, keep your body count low, this is what all these women have been told, and this is why they're talking like this.
Exactly.
That doesn't equate. I'm not saying that equates for
not
like
their
the
natural state. I'm just saying it's not their natural state to keep their body count low. Now, if you have a child, I do recommend that there are two parents in that home to raise that baby. That is your responsibility now, and children do better with a mom and a dad. I agree 100%. That's why people should get married. But if you're getting married,
live, Jen.
Yeah, it is. It's true. But if you're getting married because you think you're going to satisfy that woman, but this is how women think. This book is fucking, how many pages is this shit? This shit is 500 pages of women of all ages, of all walks of life, single and married, mostly married, as you hear. I wouldn't tell my husband. I wouldn't tell my husband. I wouldn't tell my husband. Having these fantasies and these thoughts. And the reason why, when I hear men say, well, promiscuity is harder for women, it's not. Society is harder having sex.
What do you think? Like, what do they mean when they say harder? And I'm asking that as a genuine question. Like, what do they? No, as far as like it's hard. Oh, when I say harder for being okay, so what I meant was, I know what you're talking about. What I meant was
pair bonding.
Not the pair.
I got a feeling you're going to end up going
the pair bonding theory. I don't know. Like, I think there's something to like. I think that's, if there's anything to the pair bonding thing, I think that's a human thing. I don't think it's necessarily female specific, but biologically, I think that for women, overall, it psychologically and stuff like that, sex plays a bigger role. Which get this, the fact that there's a book, about, women kind of like venting their fantasies and frustrations, and a lot of them are women who are married and they don't feel fulfilled, or honestly, I don't know like the context of the book, but like maybe some of it's just like, oh yeah, like I have a good sex life, I'm happily married, but like here's a fantasy of mine, if you want it, for content.
Right.
But the fact that that's even a thing, like I think that there is something to it. I would say that I think sex means more to women than it does to men. However, it is important to all of us. And I know how that sounds. I don't want it to sound like a manosphere talking point, but I do think that.
I understand what you're saying. Thank you, Israel Grace, for this super chat. I appreciate you, sir. You have to consider when we're having these conversations, even though they sound red pillish and manosphere-ish or whatever, before the red pill and the manosphere, men were saying this about women. Men were saying this about when it was Scarlet Letter. There was, you're a hoe, you're a whore. Here's the thing.
That comes from something.
Right. Okay. But
like no, those men are wrong for saying that, but it comes from something.
It comes from religion. It comes from power. It comes from owning women. It comes from seeing women as second-class citizens. But here's the thing: what's hard on women?
I don't think that's where it comes from.
It comes from patriarchy.
No, I think the negative.
Listen to a woman who was reared and conditioned and raised. Close your legs. You don't want anyone to think you're a hoe. You gotta get married, grow up, and stay a virgin, and get married to one person, and then have a baby, and take care of your husband, and take care of your children. And that is what you do. That is the purpose of a vagina. That is the purpose of a human being that carries a vagina, right?
I would tell my son the same thing.
Listen, women are reared to be ashamed of liking sex. Women are reared to be ashamed of wanting sex, of wanting multiple partners. Women are reared and conditioned from birth. Okay. So when you say that it affects women differently, it's because women are thinking something is wrong with me. If I want to have sex, something is wrong with me. I am dirty. I am no good. I'm no value because I want 3 different dicks in one night. What is wrong with me? You heard the girl say, I thought something was wrong with me. She said that.
Well, okay. I understand that.
And men try to make it, it's biological, it's pair bonding. No, do you know the shit that happens to a human being that results in them not being able to pair bond? It could be your father slapped you when you were 3. It could be your mother told you never was gonna be shit when you were 4. Like there's so many things that cause you to not want to commit to another human being, and it's not about I had 3
I do not adopt the pair bond theory again. I don't think again I do think there's something to it, but I don't think that it's women specific. I think just because of how humans are the way that we are, because we're so self-aware, I think that that's why it may play a minor part. But but as far as what you were saying, I think that I wasn't making the argument that people should keep a little body count and it affects women more because of what society says about women and sex. Now that book and those examples, that is a good example as far as how society is and women with sex. Now to kind of rewind it a little bit, what you were saying about patriarchy and stuff like that, I think that there were certain things that started off a certain way. When I'm talking when we were living in caves, man, just because of how different we were, I think that human pregnancies are, let's just round up, about a year. It's a lot of work. It takes the woman out physically. So because of that, biologically, men had to because human pregnancies take so long, the men had to step up in certain areas. And because there were because of the way we reproduce and stuff like that, I think the things that when we look at patriarchy nowadays, there were certain things that were set up before just because they just made more sense. And then as time went on,
for a long time too, animals are pregnant. Animals don't just get pregnant and then give birth the next day. Lots of female species are pregnant.
No, that's what I'm saying is I'm saying is like as primal as it can get. That's where like the things we see when we talk about patriarchy and like how it's fucked up and how like it kind of like sets women back and stuff like that. I think that's where it starts. I think originally, because of how humans are, things started a certain way where like men were like maybe like looking out a little more and like maybe taking charge in certain areas because women physically just couldn't. Like, again, women were human beings, like as an animal, were more than capable. Women can do damn near just everything that men can do and vice versa. With the exception.
I get what you're saying, and that really is another stream, but I was just sticking to human beings liking and wanting sex. That's it. That's where I was.
Oh, so yeah, societal wise, yeah.
Yeah, and women want and like sex just as much as men. The only time they feel funny about it is because they know it's going to result in ridicule and shame, and they don't want to feel any of that because most of them are afraid of what men are going to think and say in society. But women want sex, as you can read, and they're way freakier than men. So I would say they want it and like it more than men, but they are suppressed.
I think they like it and want it equally as men. I would argue the men's fantasies are a tad more graphic. I would just argue just from the stories that I've heard from the book, but again, it's not a contest.
No,
not a contest.
No.
Listen,
I don't think men. I don't think men want it as much as women or are as creative. They like getting their shit off. They like putting their dick
right.
No, women are more.
I don't think that's. I don't really think that's an really important discussion right now. I think there's a part of this discussion that rarely is tackled, and it's a very uncomfortable discussion. Okay, I'm going to say some very uncomfortable things, and I'm not going to point this towards you. This is not about you, Spro. But for some men, they can think about this, but men in general, here's what it is. Look, a lot of times when we have this idea about, pair bonding and low body count and so on and so forth, look, man, at the end of the day, a lot of men are just not going to say this shit. A lot of men don't want to have to live up to the expectations of a woman who has had a high body fucking count. They don't want to live up to the sexual expectations. So if she has a low body count, she doesn't necessarily have that much, experience during sex. So you can pretty much be mediocre with your shit and so on and so forth. Now, most guys, let's just call it what it is. You don't want to follow behind the guy that can put his dick over his fucking shoulder. I just want to just talk real right here. Because most men, they're having these ideas in their head when they're thinking about a woman with a high body count. Now, at the end of the day, all that aside, a lot of men, if they just look at this from a pragmatic perspective, a lot of men don't take the time out to learn the female anatomy. They don't work on exercises to improve their stroke. Some of those being like core exercises, so you can keep yourself up while you're stroking a woman. Having strong legs. This is why you don't skip leg day, because when you skip leg day, you basically, lessen the blood flow in your legs, which actually does affect your erection, which is going to also affect your stroke game. Things like zinc supplementations, beets, diets that essentially keeps your blood clean and so on. We don't have these discussions as men because, especially black men, everyone is perceived to you gotta be a fucking gorilla in the bedroom out the gate. Like, no, everybody has
reasons.
Everybody has things they need to improve. Everybody has, sides of the game that they need to work on. But these are the tough conversations that a lot of men are not having when it comes to sex. But a lot of these women are having these conversations about us behind our fucking backs.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yep.
All I get from this, women are way freakier and men think they're freakier. And when they get presented certain things, they run.
There you go.
That's the truth.
There you go. That's the
tea. Just to label her.
What does running look like? I don't.
Well, I think running can look like you're 3 or 4. You can't pair bond. You can't. They don't want to talk about it. They're like, no. You're. I'm gonna make you this.
We're just talking about sex. I'm not.
That's all I'm talking about is sex. I'm talking about the red pill and the manosphere, the way they view sex. Like they think that this virgin is going to fall out the sky and on their penis, and then she's never going to want anybody else, and she's going to be able to pair bond. And I'm telling you, this is how women think. This book is so interesting because this is how
I don't
women
think most men. I hope to God most men don't think that, because again, like even with the points,
okay,
even with the
now.
points I brought up, I was making points as far as like people who want to be monogamous in a single married relationship. That's when I brought up the whole like, oh, keep a low body count. That's what I meant. Like, I get it. Humans, I think that because of how humans are mentally, I think we do better being monogamous. However, we're not monogamous by nature. So there you go. So like people, you have the choice. Do what you do, live how you live. But with like, come on. If there are guys thinking that, then they're the reason they're not getting laid.
I mean,
I would just say, if I were a man, like if I were a man, it's 80% is a staggering number, and yet men are so hard-headed.
Yep.
I say man or woman.
They don't explore. They don't explore why women want to get the hell away from them. They don't explore it. They should have, if something was happening 80% of the time and I was at risk of some woman filing divorce, I'm a man and I'm getting married and I'm at risk of being in that 80%, I would explore it. What do you guys keep doing wrong? What is it? Why are women like it? The ROI? I'm out of here. You have to explore that. Louis Conyer, it's called My Secret Garden by Nancy Friday. I know you're a reader. Louis Conyer. It's My Secret Garden.
Secret Garden.
By Nancy
Audible?
Friday.
Probably.
Let's wrap
Yes, they
on
do.
this.
I got it on Audible.
Can I get it read by
The Hunter.
Me,
Porn stars.
Right.
Yeah.
Girl,
no, not a porn star. I would want it read by like Christopher Walken, you know?
Christopher Walken.
Yeah. Can you imagine Christopher Walken's like,
no, I
never
don't want to
told
imagine him doing
my
that.
husband.
Hey, you know, I want to read by
That's
Selma
funny.
Hayek.
I have this fantasy.
I think it'd be funny if Andrew Dice Clay read the shit. That would
No.
be fucking hilarious.
Or Gilbert Gottfried. God rest his soul.
Oh God.
Oh no, Fran Drescher. I
that's
want
it.
Audible of
Nah,
Fran
man,
Drescher.
nah, man. That's
No.
definite.
Good
That's a
day and good
definite
night.
hard-on killer. It's a definite
That would be-
hard-on killer.
Rosie Perez.
I'm talking about just for entertainment.
Oh, No.
Cardi B.
No.
Cardi B.
Actually, yeah. Cardi B too. Yeah, she would do great. I think Cardi B should start doing cartoons. I think she should start doing
True, because she
voiceover
is a
work.
character. She is a cartoon character.
She would be so like. Can you imagine if Boondocks was still in the air? Like if Aaron McGruder wasn't like such a bitch and like he brought the show back. I would love like if she. Oh, dude, season of the Boondocks. He left.
Of course, I know the Boondocks.
And you can tell. I talk to people who don't follow like entertainment or like cartoon news, and they were like, "Yeah, fourth season of Boondocks sucks." And I was like, "Oh, Aaron McGruder, he was writing the final draft every episode, and then he left." And they were like, "Oh." And it's
Listen,
like, this
shit is wild. Woo.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to
Flip-
it.
flip into-
spicy.
just flip into it. It's some wild shit. Women are really good luck, guys.
Right.
No,
that's all I'm
wait,
thinking.
that's hilarious. I'm gonna tell my wife about it. What's the
My
title
secret
again?
garden. My secret garden.
You know what, bro? I recommend that you tell your wife about this. It'll open up a conversation, and she may tell you about those.
We talk about sex a lot. So which I think is healthy. Again, again, kids married. I want to say it sucks, but like again, you gotta want it. We got issues, but I don't think
It
sex
happens.
is like on the top of the list. So I'm grateful for that, at least for now. We're young.
Just keep communication open. And I know you think you talk about sex, but
Uh-huh.
No.
She talks about it differently with her
You're right.
girlfriend.
You're right. We've had
Her girlfriend's having a different conversation than you all.
No, we've had there've been a few like those talks where like something came up and it was like it wasn't like anything like too crazy or bad, but it was like, oh wow, really? And it was like, yeah, you think I'm weird? And it was like, nah, cuz hey, thanks for the thanks for the heads up. And vice versa. God bless her.
There's nothing any man married to a woman can do about their woman wanting 18-year-olds, 14, 18-year-olds lined up, tied up. as she gets them hard all in her.
Now this is
ain't
true,
no coming
but
back from
again,
that.
get this. But if you're married,
back from that.
Look at this. I would argue that like some of the women, like the example you just gave, let's say there's a woman in the book that has that example. I would argue that there are some of those women, they're like, yo, I'm happily married. I love my husband. Like, yo, that is something. Yeah. I would argue, and I'm saying this from experience, like how I said, like there were a few talks we had where it was like, whoa, really? Talking about it, like especially because again, if you're married, you're already kind of wrapped around like I'm here, like I'm here, I'm gonna die here. That's the agreement, yada yada. Even talking about it, because get this, there are compromise, there are ways, y'all. Can you dig it?
Okay.
Like, you feel me?
Yeah,
Hey, either way, hey, keep communication. Communication.
Got to be more careful.
No saying how long you been married? No saying.
Too long.
I love the spectrums. I love the.
I know, right?
Yo, no saying. Yo, email me. No, because honestly, whenever I there's a few older cats I have like in my life now.
Saying I gotta ask you a question.
Married.
I gotta ask you a question. I remember on Freaky Friday. I'm asking. I remember on Freaky Friday, you told me that Erica is into a particular thing. Did you do that particular thing eventually? Nah.
No, and
not even a knuckle.
No, no.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you, she has been very open throughout our time of telling me certain fantasies, and this is why and some of this is anecdotal because I've experienced it, and that's why I told you, Spro, that most of us run, because she has offered things up to me that most guys would say, wow, man, why didn't you do that? But at the time, my thought process was, man, that's a great fantasy, but what is that going to open up? I was too scared to pull the trigger. I mean, I'm talking about like, I want to see you with someone I know is her friend from Colombia. I would like to see, and I turned it down because I was like, well, yeah, but if that happens, then maybe she is jealous or maybe this happens, and I didn't want to risk the relationship. But in hindsight, and in this book, there are a lot of things, and that's why I tell you, guys, I don't know, maybe not all guys, but I think a lot of guys are not built that way. They're not built to handle that.
No, most cats aren't. I think most people who are married aren't built for it. Hell, talk to me again in like 10 years, and then we can.
It's gonna be a difference, bro. I guarantee.
We can talk about it some more then, but like I definitely agree with you, but like even in the example you gave, like you're saying, like I'm talking to a guy, he's been married for 20 years. He gave a testimony about his wife, said some wild shit, and they talked about it, and he was like, nah, and like, get this, you've been married for 20 years. So again, and I'm not saying like not everything is different, but like that's what I was saying earlier. I'm like, yo, like at least like talk. If you're married, shit, you got to rip off that Band-Aid. At least talk about it, even if it's fucking weird for a month or whatever. Like, just talk about it, because that's your best bet. Because get this, you either talk about it and nothing happens and it's weird for a month and then like y'all get past it, or you talk about it and they with it. And then
can I ask you a question? Can I ask you to a question?
Really quickly, I want to acknowledge it. Hold on, super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Louis Kanye says, "Spro, get the book called The Alchemy of Love and Lust."
Oh, I already wrote it down when I saw it pop up.
Okay.
I just want to ask you two men a question as married men. Would you ever put a collar around your woman's neck and actually pull on the chain while you're having sex with her?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you call her a bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you choke her?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You saying would I or have? Like, what are these questions?
Which are the ones? Which are the ones?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So both of you have done this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, not the collar. I've never put a collar. I don't have a collar, but
you ever slapped and called her a bitch?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't mean like. I mean like you like really like got that shit in there.
I'm quote happily married. That's why I said, like, again, the sex is important. It does come up, but again, it's just not at the top of the list as far as like issues.
Part of the hand, like
they hit them, Haran. They hit them.
Right?
Okay?
Yeah, I didn't give her a mouse on her eye or anything like that.
All right, they got it.
I fell.
Okay.
All right, guys.
So you're not cream puffs totally, okay?
No, they're not cream puffs totally. All right, guys. We had to fuck out of here. Thank you for being here and contributing. Spro, you will be all right. You will be just fine, young man. We will see you guys Monday. Please do not forget, hit that like and subscribe. Monday, I am launching On the Block with Jen 1-on-1. My first interview will be with Big Daddy Kane. And then I'm also launching Sisterhood Sips. Lily and I will be talking about, speaking of fantasies, we will be comparing notes because we found out we slept with the same man. So we will be talking about those details. This is all happening.
What?
You have to watch.
You have to watch the show.
Oh my God, that is great for so many.
This is the show. And we found out we were just doing some girl talk, just general girl talk, and someone's name came up, and we were like, "Wait, which?"
Oh no, New York ain't that small.
Oh no, this is industry. This is a high profile person, so we all know him.
Yeah.
Wait,
but
what
New York,
day?
New York and New Jersey.
What day is this?
It is Saturday.
No. The day
what day is the show?
Monday, 9 p.m.
Oh, Monday. Oh, you know what? No, Mondays are good. Okay, 9 p.m.
You got to go to the page. Go to the page, Sisterhood Sips. Make sure you hit that notification so you don't miss it. You can't, because we're gonna be watching it with you. This is gonna be a watch party. So
yeah, we're gonna be live in the chat. We'll be live in the chat talking to anybody who has questions.
Oh, it's a pre-done show.
Yep, pre-recorded.
Oh, that's great. Yo, I just started getting into doing that kind of thing, and it's freaking great. It is so.
It really is. But we'll still be, we're still here all week long. But then Sisterhood Sips and my one-on-one interviews are on Mondays.
Yes. And Sisterhood Sips is on the Sisterhood Sips page, spelled with a C, CISTER Hood Sips. Yeah.
You have to go to this YouTube channel that is not on the block. This is Sisterhood Sips. It's a whole different channel. So you must go there.
Oh, I just peeped, sis. Oh, that is the pun. I love it. I'm telling everybody about this.
Everyone's loving that spelling. Everybody, I've noticed, Jen, everyone's loving that spelling. Both cis and trans are loving that spelling. Every time
if you guys had a daytime talk show,
we will
on like my local Fox network, I would watch it every day. I would put it on my bar. I do lunch at my bar. I would put it on every day. Sisterhood Sips. Are you guys gonna have mimosas?
All of that. All of the above.
Oh my God. Oh, I love it.
All of the above.
I want a shirt.
Oh, wait till you see the clips. Like the clips are crazy. Like the one little trailer, the little sizzle clips are crazy.
I subscribed. I put on all the notifications, all purple. Oh my God.
Yeah, the clips are crazy.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm gonna tell both my brothers about this. They're gonna be like, sis, wait, one of them's trans. Oh my God. They're gonna fucking love it. Oh my God, this is great.
So Monday, guys, we are launching both shows. Come see what I asked Big Daddy Kane and what he answered. Monday. Sisterhood Sips is first, and then Big Daddy Kane is probably like a half hour later, both pre-recorded. So go to Sisterhood Sips for that, and then come back here for the Big Daddy Kane interview. It's not live, it's pre-recorded.
I just want to say one quick thing. Apparently, Miss Ruth got a happy ending in an ambulance once. Shout out to our first responders.
Yes. We need them. We need them.
You're doing God's work.
Responded.
Yes. They responded. Hallelujah. Don't want to do it.
All right, guys. Good night. Love you all. Hit that like and subscribe for me. You want to support the show? Cash App on the Block with Jen. Till Monday. Love y'all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh wait, that's not there.